Hello, everyone. So today we did a topic on white fragility, and it kind of went in different directions, but I do think most of us got our views across. I know I did. And our guests were Jester from Is Doomsday Podcast, Michael Key, Real Conservative Podcast, Kimberly Michael, whose podcast is In Love with Kimberly Michael. And we also had a frequent guest of our shows, Shy Lady. So, and we also had someone come on, Savage from Savage Entertainment. He came on later, but I thought it was lively. I thought
Yeah.
that we dug into the weeds, and I think that hopefully it's a conversation that people can just have and just talk about.
Mhm. Well, we did go 3 hours, which is a record for us. But I liked it. I've always said that on your show when we've covered this topic, that it's kind of come too short. You get 2 hours on Podbean, and I like it to go. So that's not a problem for me. I know it'll be tough for some of you guys to get through it. Hopefully you will. It was a really entertaining show. I really enjoyed the second half better. I thought when we got on to um, Michael Key, I think, started it with how we attack racism and things with the market, the free market, and then what we can do to solve it. I like that. Not that I didn't like I mean, it has to be, like we've always said, we have to talk about this stuff. But for me, because I've talked about it with you guys a few times, I'm kind of selfish and I want to kind of move the conversation forward. But no, it was really enjoyable, and it was good to have a new face as well, Savage, who we'll have on if you give us an email, and we'll have on. And yeah, really enjoyed it. What did
Well,
you think?
I enjoy having Miss Kimberly Michael on.
Yeah.
She's very feisty,
Mhm.
and Shy Lady. I'm sorry that her
Yeah.
setup was not correct, whatever. But she did say that she was sorry, and she does want to come back for a future show. But
Mhm.
I thought the show went really well. And guys, again, when you look at the runtime, I don't know. We'll decide if we're going to chop it up or not, but
Mhm.
you guys may just sit there and just listen, because I don't think there was really a lag. I think that whatever somebody was saying at some point was something that you want to listen to. And thank you to the people in the chat who you all stayed with us and you constantly, put your input in. But I think that, you know, this may go by real fast. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was definitely one of those shows, and it flowed as well. Like it
Hmm.
wasn't one of those, and I don't know how we got around to it, but the end was completely off topic. But it's kind of related in a
Yeah.
way. But
Yes.
as I say, we are trying to, as Solid said just before we jumped on here, we are going to try and liven it up and have some fun characters and fun topics, because it can get a bit heavy for everyone. So we're going to try and liven it up, and as we always say, if you want to come on the show, reach out to us, friendly differences podcast. No, friendly differences at gmail.com, or find us on TikTok or Instagram or Twitter. Yeah, it'd be good to
Okay,
have you.
so and then the other thing, guys, is we would love to start doing live shows on TikTok, but we need to get to 1,000 followers.
Mhm.
So if you guys can follow us, on TikTok, that would be great. It's friendly underscore
Yeah,
differences underscore pod. So
yeah,
you
that's
might
it.
see two accounts. We will get that other account
Mhm.
off, but again, friendly underscore differences underscore pod.
Yeah,
So with that, we hope you enjoy the show, and make sure you have some popcorn and something to drink, because it is lengthy.
yeah. Bye, guys.
All right,
Bye.
bye. Excuse me. Welcome, everyone. Today on Friendly Differences, we have a full panel here, and we are going to be talking about white fragility. So, um, it's been a hot topic for, well, definitely in the last year with CRT and what have you, but in the last 5 or 6 years, with everything that's going on with the divisiveness that's in the country, is something that I personally think needs to be discussed because there's different sides to different stories. And to me, you have to look at the whole. So today we have, of course, my co host, Bahram Yu, in his man bun. And we have Michael Key, who is host of the podcast Real Conservative Talk. We have Jester from his Doomsday podcast, Kimberley Michaels from In Love with Kimberley Michaels podcast, and Shy Lady, who is a frequent guest and a longtime friend of mine. So, with that, we're not going to do an around the room thing. We're just, if you all want to jump in, whatever, as always, I know this group, so I know no one's going to be nasty or anything, but, just jump in, whatever you need to jump in, and I will get the conversation started unless somebody wants to say something. Does anybody want to say anything to start off?
I'll start. I'll start, but I won't start. Basically, I'd like you, Solid, or Shy Lady, or Kimberly, because I know your guys' views on this. What do you think is white fragility? Like, people that are white don't want to talk about racism. And not only that, why do you think it? And then, because the reason I'm asking is if you tell me what you think, then I'll be able to maybe, say my views.
Okay. Basically, I think that is this. I think that um, white people have always, and I'm not going to say all, but the majority of them have always been in a position of entitlement. You are part of a group that, I mean, the fact is just from the color of your skin, you have a privilege that other people of color don't have. And when I say people of color, I mean Black, Latino, Asian, Native American, just all across the board. This is true. But
Can I stop you there?
sure. Uh-huh.
So, because I think this is an important part of this discussion, is the privilege aspect of this. Can you quantify it? Can you quantify? Yeah. Can you quantify how much benefit my color of skin has? Right? Like, how can you quantify? Because what is a privilege? Because I looked this up. Is before I came on here when I was thinking about like some talking points. Definition of a privilege is a special right, advantage, or immunity granted or available only to a particular group, which means you would have to be able to quantify one of those, right? You would have to be able to quantify what specific right, what specific advantage, or what specific immunity do I have that you don't because of my skin, not because I live in a certain area, not because I'm in a certain social class, but because of my skin color.
Well, okay, Michael, that's very easy. I mean, just look at the fact of housing. I mean, you have laws. You have laws that are literally still on the books, where, even though they say that it's not legal, but if a Black person wanted to buy a home in certain areas, they were told no. Why? Because of the color of their skin. Wait, hold
They
on.
were told. Were told.
No, they're told now.
No,
They're told now.
and they could not do it. But you asked me what a privilege was, and I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at the whole. So I know a lot of people are going to want to stick to, well, what's going on in 2022. You can't do that. You have to look at everything that happened prior to, because things are still happening. You have on the books, and with the laws that are being made by some of these states, there are still sundown towns. They may not be enforced, but if they wanted to, A cop who was working in a sundown town could literally tell me that you are still here after sundown. I can arrest you.
So sundown town means it's not safe for blacks to be around us.
Sundown
Yeah.
town what
So
are towns that had laws that black people had to get out of town by sundown,
yeah.
even if
So
they were maids, whatever, they're cleaning your
yeah.
house, whatever, you better be out of town, because if you weren't, you were either arrested or worse.
So do you believe there are places in the world today that white people are not safe?
Yes.
Well, there you go then.
So
Not because you're
I'm not.
white.
no,
Yes.
no,
You're
Yes.
white though. You're
Yes.
not
I
safe
just
because of the neighborhood itself. And if that neighborhood happens to be full of melanated people, then that's the mindset that we as white folks have, like we're being attacked, but in the reality we're not. There's certain places no one should be. There's places I shouldn't be as a woman, regardless of the color of my skin. As far as I'm concerned, I don't go out after dark, irregardless. And I'm going to stop right there because I want to back up and I want to talk really quick, if I can intervene, about white privilege. I personally, and let me finish before everybody freaks out, I don't believe in white privilege, and I'm going to tell you why. It is a construct of the white community, and it's a false narrative that has been pushed into the black community. Y'all don't have privilege. You're right. You don't have privilege. But what you have is a safe environment to walk around in when you're out in daylight. You don't have to look over your shoulder. You don't have to worry about somebody coming up to you and projecting the hate that they hold in your heart for the color of your skin by calling you a name or attacking you or coming from you. Now, am I saying that doesn't happen anywhere? No, I am not. But what I'm saying to you is that right now, in the climate that we live in, it is utter and complete genocide on the black community. And this is dating back for hundreds of years. And I know that I use that word, and I know that it's upsetting to a lot of people. And as far as I'm concerned, it needs to be said. You're right. The privilege you're not getting any special privilege, but you're also not being attacked on a regular basis, and you're not being degraded, and there's not a system set in place that is specifically out to get you. People don't look at you as non-human. Just because you don't feel a way about a black person and you don't project that to your children, and you don't project that, you have to understand that white people as a whole in America view black folks as non-human beings, because they don't treat each other like the way that they don't treat each other the way they treat.
Again, how do you quantify that to get that to make a statement like that, right? Because if myself, Ba, and Jester, like based off your statement, well, maybe we don't treat them like that, right? And I mean, Ba and Lisa go back and forth all day, and they're very good friends, right? So no one on this panel, 100% of the people on this panel have no problem with black people at all. And so if 100% of the people, based off your data pool, at least two of us would have a problem. And so
Right.
how do you quantify it?
And I'm not
the vast majority.
And it is the vast majority. And I'm going to tell you why I know that, because I grew up in a white community with a white mindset in white schools around a white family. And I'm generationally white because I have the gift that I was then, as an adult, embedded in the black community, in churches, barbecues, spending the night, homelessness, abuse, court systems. I have the privilege now that I was able to see and understand the depths of the mindset of the majority of the white people. If I don't open my mouth in public, if you want me to quantify, I can go down. I have a list, but let me just say that over the course of my lifetime, the white folks that have said things to me because I'm white and they don't understand my history or my background, and the N word that has come out of their mouth for no reason at all, and the things that they have said, not to mention my 3 magically melanated seeds that I have witnessed time and time again being brutalized and abused for the color of their skin, and not from Black folks, from white people. Repeatedly through the school system, I had to fight to get them educated, to the point that I pulled them out and homeschooled them in junior high because I didn't have it in me to fight anymore. I have witnessed atrocities, absolute atrocities. At one time, my ex-husband went for a job. Was a Black man. He was going for a job. He went in, he interviewed. The minute he interviewed, he no longer qualified for the job. They weren't interested. I used his resume, and I applied for the position with his resume, and I got the job. Of course, I turned it down. And if I'd have had any sense back then, I'd have sued the shit out of the company, but I didn't.
And you should have. If that was the case, you should have.
And these are just little small. I've signed leases and had homeowner associations go to the owners of the houses and be like, you are not going, and I'm talking in the 90s and 2000s, we're not going to allow them to live there. We will harass them. We don't care the laws. We're not allowed, you're not moving an N-word into our homeowners association. Mm-hmm. I'm a real estate agent in the state of Alabama and in the state of Florida. And as early as 2 weeks ago, I had somebody tell me he don't want nobody Black in his house. And he is not my client or a client of our office as well. This is not there's a handful of people that feel this way. There is an entire movement of white folks that have the mindset that Black people are inferior, they're not worthy, they're not important, and they do not have to treat them with any type of respect, because to them, they are inhuman, period.
I'm not going to deny what you're saying, okay? So what I'm, well, hold on. What I'm getting at, I guess, so one thing I think you'll find my position on this a little bit different. You brought up the schools and your children, right? And about the struggles they had in the schools to the point that you couldn't take it anymore. Who provides schooling for our children?
White folks, our system.
No, the government does.
White folks, our system.
Okay. Is it only white folks that pay the taxes for the schools?
It's irrelevant who pays the taxes for the schools. For the schools. That doesn't have anything to do with it. Rich folks ain't paying taxes for schools.
Is it okay in the South Side of Chicago? The people that run the school system there, are they all white?
It doesn't matter. You're talking about a system that has been built to support white people. It's not there to support Black folks. It doesn't matter. The education system across the board is biased, and it's a falsity. I
agree with you, by the way. I agree with you on the school. I agree with you on the school. Yeah. But what I'm getting at is, it seems to be that the system that's providing this problem is also the system that you want to rely on to try and fix the problem.
Who is you want to rely on? Me?
The private sector, honestly, in a more free market society, to allow things that when you have a real estate agent or company, or like your example, right, who doesn't want to work with a Black person, all right, making it to where, well, that Black person can easily go to another person and get that business, and that other real estate agency will flourish because they're not going to discriminate. All right. But you have to allow certain things, and it may seem crazy, but it's actually more proven that if you force things like through the system, like you're saying you have a problem with, which I think everyone here has somewhat of a problem with the government, and allow it as a more free market society. All right. That will actually work itself out a lot of times.
But Michael, that I mean, and I see Bob nodding his head and everything, but that doesn't make sense, because the problem I have is the government is not the blame for everything. And I have said it before, individual responsibility. A government is not telling someone they don't want you living here. The government is not telling someone to go to if a Black child or even a white child goes to school and a Black person calls that white child a nasty name. That's not the government. So if you want to, you can't say that.
It's not at that level. You're right, but the government does things indirectly through policy and things that create the problem.
Right, but a lot of those problems start at home. And I mean, okay, for instance, let's look at the school system.
Mm.
When you have busing, okay, busing was mandated by the government. Yes, it was. But who got caught in the crossfire? It was African American black kids, whatever you want to say, because we've been called so many different, whatever. It was us who was our children who were caught in that crossfire because white children were not being bused into black schools. Black children were told they have to get on this bus and go to these white schools. So what you had a generation of kids being forced into a situation that they didn't like. Many times when they got to those schools, the the vitriol and the nastiness that came not just from the white students, but from the parents hurling slurs, whatever. You don't think that that's stressful? You don't
I'm
think?
not denying it at all. At all.
And even now, they have said that putting guns in schools have literally for middle school and for high school, the level of anxiety and stress that black kids are starting to feel is like they don't want those in their schools because they're saying that if a teacher says, well, he looked at me wrong or I felt threatened. And see, that's a word that a lot of white people use. I feel threatened. Bang, bang. And that's something that is something that is very real. So it's not the government, it's still an individual who is making the decision on whether or not they're going to call someone a name, not rent to someone, whatever. It is still an individual person.
How many? Because okay, if you were gonna do like your teacher example there, okay, I would imagine it would be along the lines that there are at least like a concealed carry license, right? Which I think 3 of us have. And so how many people with a concealed carry license, how many white people with a concealed carry license are walking around and not only not shooting people, but not shooting black people every day?
A lot.
All right.
But I'm saying that, Michael, I understand what you're saying, but I guess the main thing that for me, just out of all of this, is just that, can you just have an understanding that you're part of a group, no matter what your social status is, no matter what your financial status is, you live in a group that if you walk down the street, people look at you. If I walk down the street, people are gonna question. I may have to show freedom papers. What are you doing here? These are things that I deal with. These are things that my husband deals with. I mean, this is stuff that happens. It's like, what are you doing here? But for you, and come on, I mean, it is fact. If you walk down the street, then more than likely it's just gonna be just you walking down the street. So, but if I walk down the street, the first thing they're going to see is they're not going to see a woman walking down the street. They're going to see a black woman walking down the street. There's a difference.
But see from all of that, I what about, like, there's a reason I don't go and live in South Africa, because I'm a white. It's a dangerous place for whites to be. I've also been to Mexico with my boss for 2 weeks training up the locals and was told, don't go out at night, stay in your hotel. There are places in the world where white people aren't unsafe because of the color of their skin.
In Mexico with all the cartels and everything.
But it doesn't matter. The point is, right? This is point scoring. And it's like, the way I see it is, does it happen to black people? Yes. Does it happen to white people? Yes. Then it's all about point scoring. Well, it happens to us more. That's what it sounds like.
Because there's less black folks in America, and the stats, at least the ones that we are given and the ones that we're supposed to believe, if you do the numbers on them, it is happening more to black people.
No, you guys are listening to the CNN talking points where they'll
they'll
cherry pick.
I don't even own a TV, so you can't throw that
I
at
don't know
me.
what
Wait, you know what? Don't do that.
Because they'll cherry.
No.
They will
You're
cherry
not gonna
pick.
do that CNN cherry.
They do cherry pick. You try to say they don't.
No,
So they don't.
I don't even watch TV. So
Hey,
that's-
real quick, on off topic. I got kicked out of here for some reason. I think she did too.
Shy lady.
Yeah, it for whatever reason, Melon said I needed to upgrade, and it kicked me, but it let me back in.
Well,
I don't know what's going on.
When you came on, it told me that you were back on, so I just let you back on. But
Oh yeah. I don't know what
I don't know what
your
that,
link's good. I didn't know if it obviously didn't affect the show. It just was kicking me, so I don't know if that's what's happened to her too.
Do you have your
Shy lady.
video set on what is it? You have it set on high resolution 720?
The camo app I have on the 1080p because I do
Okay.
the $4, and then for Melon, it'll just do it in 720 regardless.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to go to Jester? He hasn't spoke yet, or Shy Lady, but I think Shy Lady's out of the
No,
picture just now.
she's here. I think she's looking at her camera.
Okay.
So
Jester, what you saying?
I've been quiet for a while, just kind of soaking it all up and formulating my own opinions in my head. I do think that if we are going to go down this road of the superior white and the poor blacks, we do have to look at things all across the board, not just in the U.S., but every other country, because we don't get the news reports that they're mass executing whites in South Africa. We don't get those news reports. We don't get the news reports of other racism throughout the world. With that being said, it's perpetuated in our media a lot that there's all these racial issues happening. They don't report on black stuff. They don't report when a black child gets killed by the hands of a black man. These are things that just aren't widely reported on. This is the equivalent to a plane crash. We have thousands of car wrecks every day around the country, but it doesn't make news. Nobody cares, right? But when you have a plane crash happen, it's on the front page of every paper. It's all over every news media outlet because they want to perpetuate this. They want to perpetuate that fear. They know it sells, right? The government and the media is clearly working together. They don't want racism to go away. They want to keep it alive because it sways votes, period. So when we say you can't blame the government or you can't blame this, oh, no, absolutely. You could put the blame on the government. You could put the blame on the mainstream media. And it doesn't matter what news media outlet you're watching. Everyone reports on it the same way. It's all exactly the same. I think that there is a caveat to this, though. Whenever you're talking about the school system and it's broken and it favors whites, you have to understand the demographic of that area. If you have a school board system in a highly dense black populated community, you're going to have a black school board. If you have a school board in a white dense populated community, you're going to have a white school board. That's just kind of how it works. It's geographical. It has no, I don't believe there's anything specifically to do with the color of the student's skin and specifically how they're treated by the school board. Students individually, yes, kids can be assholes. We all know that. But I could say this much. This was a problem before the civil rights movement and like years and years ago. Yes, this was a very, very big problem. Today, it's not so much, but I think a lot of people are hung up on what took place in the past. I grew up in a household where there was no racism, where my parents were older and got to see these movements and got to see these things happen. They promoted ELE, everybody love everybody. It doesn't matter what the color of your skin is. So, but there is racism on both sides. So to do this white privilege, if white privilege is shoveling horse shit and, having to work for everything I had and now living like a hillbilly in the middle of the woods, if that's white privilege, I got it.
And Jester, I understand what you're saying. Are there black people who don't like white people? Absolutely. I know some of them. It's like some of the things they say is like, but at the same time, I understand what you're saying about the media, and this is what I have a problem with, this whole thing about living in the past. I don't live in the past, but I know my past has a lot to do with what is going on now. And when you have a teacher that, I'm sorry, not even a teacher. When you have a curriculum that doesn't want to discuss certain things because, and this is where I'm talking about the, fragile stuff comes up. I don't want my child feeling guilty. Well, first of all, I don't want anyone feeling guilty, but you're going to sit up here and teach me or teach my child about Ellis Island, about all these immigrants that came from Ellis Island. Well, my people came over on a different boat. So while that teacher is teaching Ellis Island, are you also going to teach these other children who did not come from Ellis Island? Are you going to incorporate that into the lesson plan and say, okay, well, we understand that you all came over here, but over here they came from here, and this is why they came from, whatever. Are you going to talk about that?
When did that leave the curriculum? Because I learned all about that growing up.
I did learn about it too growing up. However, they didn't teach correct facts. They gave a narrative that black people were just rounded up by white people in Africa and then they were brought over. And that's not exactly accurate at all. A lot of the slaves that came to this country were sold out of South America. They didn't come from Africa. They were sold from Africa to South America, then came here. And they were sold by their own people. I know there is this like narrative that's put out there that black people were just rounded up and brought here. That's not how it was.
And a lot more of the people out of Africa actually went to the Middle East. Were brought and sold to the Middle East. The same type of slavery, more of it actually happened directly to the Middle East that didn't even come over here to the Western Hemisphere.
Well, you had, slaves from Africa were sold everywhere, whatever. But when you look at the slavery that did come directly from Africa to here, when you look at the Middle Passage, which a lot of people don't talk about, those were Africans that were literally coming from Africa over to America.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you just look at how America was founded, yes, you all, the Europeans were fleeing King George. They didn't want to, have their rule. And yes, there were what white people say are white slaves in America. They were indentured servants who were murderers and killers and rapists who were kicked out of England, saying either you go to jail here in England or you get on a boat to America where you will have to be in service for 7 years. And after those 7 years are over, you are free. That wasn't like that with Africans who landed in America, whether they came through Brazil, Colombia, wherever. When they got to America, they were slaves. They did not get a 7-year, off, whatever. They were slaves.
And at the end of the day, and I say this all the time, and it's similar to black. So white folks, let me directly relate this to the topic. The white fragility that we're talking about is right here in front of us, right? I'm not, and as respectfully as possible, because me as a white woman who grew up white, who's had black children who are now grown and was married to a black man for 20 years and embedded in the black community, two successful black women. And I know Shy Lady hasn't spoken yet, but I don't want to not hold a place for her and talk over her, or anything, but and we're telling you, we're saying to you that it is different, that different things happen to black people that don't happen to white folks. And the mentality, I wrote it down, this is it. It does not matter at this point who sold who to who. What matters is that once black folks got here in America, and the way that they were treated and dehumanized and brutalized is what we are talking about. Japanese people, Jewish people get reparations, and I don't believe in that. That's another show.
Where do they get reparations?
They didn't get it from me.
They got it in Europe, right?
I don't know where they're getting it from, and I don't honestly care. I'm talking about in America, right? At the end of the day, again, I don't care about the reparations. It's not what I care about. What I care about is this that y'all are doing right now to us by making what we're telling you insignificant. For you to say, when we start talking about slavery, when a white person steps forward and says black people are the ones who sold the slaves out of Africa, is the same thing that happens when some people, not me, another movement I'm not a part of, Black Lives Matter, but when we say Black Lives Matter, you insignificant, I want to say insignify, but I don't know if that's the right word, but make it insignificant. You make it insignificant by saying all lives matter. You see what I'm saying? It's that small, tiny bit of mindset that needs to be adjusted. Their fragility, white folks ain't fragile. They refuse to believe, because for whatever reason, that this is happening in the country that they live in, amongst family and friends that they live with. I've pulled 2 stories, only 2. I can pull much more. And I forget who mentioned it about, I feel like it was Jester, who I like a whole bunch of shit he said, by the way. And he was saying it's not the system, it's other, it might not be the system, it's people in this, it's, other kids and they're mean. Whoever said that comment, there was a little mixed girl that went to school, and one of the kids cut her hair, and then she went home and they had to cut her hair, and it was a thing. They went to the school, they went to the principal, there were conferences. The child was upset. She had beautiful long hair and she was upset. She was 3. She went back to school the next week, and the white teacher cut all of her hair off, all of it, without permission. When have you ever heard of a white teacher cutting off someone's hair? There was a black wrestler. He was wrestling. He'd been wrestling. He had dreads down to his shoulders. And a white referee who had already been reprimanded for his racial disrespect and the words that he used with people, stopped in the middle of a wrestling match and told him if he did not cut his hair, that he would forfeit his game. And then, and let me say that this pisses me off too, the entire gym sat there and watched this white man dehumanize that brother, because that brother wanted to do one thing, what he loved to do. And for him to do it, he had to be dehumanized by this white man. And this is only 2 stories that I've happened to speak on. It is not just the kids. It is grown ass people. My daughter a year ago walked down the beach. We lived on the beach side in Daytona Beach, Florida. She is miscegenate. She looks like a light-skinned black woman. She does not look white at all. There's nothing about her that looks white. Walking down the street, a lady on the other side of the street in a red rebel flag bathing suit proceeds to call my daughter the N-word and starts flailing racial slurs at her. Crosses the street and attacks my child. She was my age. My child didn't come home upset about the racial slurs, even though she was. She came home because my 20-some-year-old daughter at the time had to put her hands on a woman my age to defend herself, and she was sick about it. You think that woman was sick about the scars that she left on my daughter? No. It is happening. It is happening. It is happening. And whether you deny it or whether you believe in it or whether you want to accept it or not, because acceptance of it is not fragility, it's accountability. You have to be accountable for the co-creating that you have done in this country along with everybody else. I wouldn't have sat there and let that baby boy get his dreads done, cut off like that. The black families that were there and the white families and the students and everyone else, as far as I'm concerned, sucked when that happened. Somebody should have said something. I would have been the one. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's not, it is happening. It's happening. I'm sorry, but it's happening all the time, every day, all day long. It happens.
Shy lady, do you want to comment? Shy lady?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Are you?
We can hear you.
She's kind of in and out now.
Oh, you're muted, Shy lady. That's it.
Okay. Okay, now,
I see her
now
signal
start
going
talking.
in and out a lot.
Yeah, the signal is.
Okay, unmute yourself.
That's it.
Okay, now.
Okay. Okay. Are you able to hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we
Yeah.
can hear you.
Okay. Just a few comments. Okay, just a few comments. I was listening, just going back previously, the conversation about the whole slavery thing, and some people thinking it almost seems like to me when someone says, "Well, black people sold black people into slavery," it almost sounds like, in my opinion, you don't deserve any kind of sympathy because you guys did this to yourselves. That's just me. On the other hand, let's say that was true, which is not true, but let's say it was true. From what I understand, what I've read, a lot of those tribes did not know what they were leading these people into. It's the same thing that happens today. I hear stories of people from Africa and even some people like in Indonesia who come over to places in the Middle East to work, and they're being sold a bag of goods. You know, in most cases they're very poor, and they're told that if your young daughter comes over and be my maid, we'll pay for her education, we'll do this, we'll do that, and then once the young person, or even sometimes it's a young boy, 17, 18 years old, that comes over to work, they are badly treated. And then, like I said, I know that this happens today, but the fact whether or not it happened, someone knowingly sold someone to slavery or unknowingly, it doesn't matter, or it doesn't account for the abuse and the fact that these slave owners had an empire built off the backs of people that worked for nothing while they got rich, while they took the land that the Native Americans had. They stole that land. They took that land, and they got rich off of that land. They got rich off of the labor of the people who worked those fields. Their descendants, their generations, got rich off of the backs of the people that worked that land. So, regardless of how they got there, it does not excuse what happened and what those slave owners did and how their generations and descendants benefited hundreds of years later from that system.
You know, Charlotte, you know,
So,
you make a point because but I want to reference a response that I saw this morning actually on Twitter to Revolutionary. I don't know what his name is.
Revolutionary bro.
No, not
Oh,
Revolutionary Bro. It's another guy who is who is black, and he goes very hard against Democrats. And um, your comment was about not having a black James Bond or a black Superman. You know, why don't you create your own? And I kind of started laughing when I saw that, because you look at the cultural appropriation and the colonization that has happened. So in that case, then why don't you get your own music, your own dance, your own hair, you know, your own hairstyles, your own clothes, you know, you know, you know, you have a white person where especially Kim Kardashian, you know, wear braids, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, so these are ethnic braids. Hell, we've been wearing braids in our hair for centuries, but yet we go to school and our kids are getting their braids cut. I mean, so it's
No, I
like,
think
can I make a point on, like, okay, the James Bond thing? I think that's a good place to kind of argue about. So here's what I like, especially if you're going to talk about history, right? And I'm not saying James Bond's like history, but it kind of is in a sense. If you're going to talk about history, right? Let's say there's a movie. What's the movie? The Roots, right? Let's take a movie like Roots and let's put one or two white people in the field. Would that be historically accurate?
Well, yes, because there were white people who
couple,
worked
right?
along,
Yes.
Yes, yes.
But
it
what if
would be.
what if they were now take that and then what if they were the majority of the people in the field in the South? Would that be historically accurate?
Yes,
They weren't.
if he's saying if they were, yes, it would be.
Okay, so if that's historically accurate and there are more white slaves working in the field in the South, it's not historically accurate because there are more black slaves working in the fields in the South.
Right.
Right.
But you say if.
Yeah, so I'm saying that I would want to see a movie. If you were going to show me a movie about slavery, right, then you would want it as accurate as possible to depict the point you're trying to get across, right? Well, so
but you're talking about a character.
I know. So with James Bond,
character.
what is James Bond?
He is a character.
He's a spy that is a part of M13, right?
Mhm.
The
MI6.
English spy agency, MI6, okay. Spying against who?
Against whomever, against
The
America,
USSR.
whomever,
No, the
or
USSR.
whoever, I don't know.
The Soviet Union.
Okay.
Why would you have a black person spying against the Soviet Union? That didn't seem like
Well, you
too
know
covert.
but the thing about it is, Idris Elba, who they were talking about giving the part 2, is British.
Yeah,
he is
but
he is a British man.
would the British send a black person to Moscow as an undercover operation? Would he not stick out like a sore thumb?
I mean, I don't know. But I'm just saying. But you're
think
talking about a character, and it isn't even the fact of James Bond or anything. My response was to Bob was that he's saying it wasn't even the whole James Bond was. The part that caught me was when he said, "Why don't you create your own?" And that's when I had to respond. Well, damn, we've created a lot of stuff that you guys have just come and just.
You're missing the point.
I'm not.
The whole
I
point
think
of
she
that is
understands it.
Point.
no. The whole point of that was it's the replacement theory where even like my wife's a huge Doctor Who fan, and she got pissed when they changed it to a woman. It's not that we're hating on blacks or hating on women. It's the replacement thing, and that's what I'm saying is when you guys. You listened to Jester there, a brilliant piece what he said, and then you went back and talked about the history, which we just said, like, we all agree that slavery was evil, bad, and if there was these people, everyone would be on their side. There are the idiots, the racist people that still live today, but they're in the minority. But
They're not.
None of us agree with this behavior. And what's so interesting is when I talk about the replacement theory, where they are now changing out white people for black people and straight people for gay people, or the LGBT community, replacing them with it's like you're in a catch-22, because if you talk out about it, you're a bigot or a racist or a sexist. They've got us. So when it's the white people are being replaced, and in 100 years' time, you'll look back and you see the pictures on the TV of Scottish people, kids at school getting their exam results, not a white person in sight. The people in 100 years' time will go, oh, Scottish people were black, were they? Oh, I didn't know that. The white people will be gone. And you guys laugh at that.
No,
you guys laugh at that.
No. Wait. How many times have you laughed at a man being murdered?
I don't laugh. No, I laugh. No,
you have
no.
You have laughed.
The thing is,
you have laughed on a lot of stuff. But see, this is what I say. You want to say the replacement. Okay, that's fine. How many?
No, it's not fine. It's not fine.
Wait, hold on.
It's
How
not
many
fine.
of us were replaced or didn't get a job? Because for people who look like you.
Yes,
So
and
now-
can I
so
say,
now that the shoe
I
is
think
on-
that
on-
was
is
wrong.
on-
Do you
okay,
think this is wrong?
Yes. But
Good.
at the same
We're on
but
the
at
same
the,
side.
but at the same time, I'm just saying that now that things are flipped, now that you have a group of people
That's
who are
horrible.
like, we're going to start pushing
That
back
is
whatever.
horrible.
All of a sudden, it's like the shoes on the other foot. And how many times have you said to me, two wrongs
That's
don't make
disgusting.
a
That
right?
is disgusting.
So what should the well? Okay, but
Wait.
no,
You're saying that what I
No.
just said was
Yeah.
was disgusting. Why?
Because you've said a few comments about when I've said like I know everyone knows I'm a conspiracy theorist and that kind of darkens what I say all the time, but let's just agree that, or let's just assume that I'm right on this, right? That the plan was set hundreds, 200-300 years ago to pick on the black people, make them slaves, screw them over, make racism prevalent, and then flip it so that the black people then go, wait a minute, we're not standing for this, and then attack white people, because in today's age, white people are the most demonized people around, right? And then start slowly eradicating them out, where you put immigration into all the white countries and listen, and dilute them down to eventually, and this is openly talked about, where melting pot multiculturalism, it's all good, and the white people disappear because there's 9% of white people or white Europeans in the world today. That's going down drastically. Joe Biden talks about that won't be a bad thing. So I agree that all what happened in the past was evil. The people that did it were evil. I hate them. I'm on your side. I think it's disgusting. But can you then say that what's happening now is also disgusting?
Yes,
Or if
absolutely.
I'm right.
It's disgusting.
That's good.
Absolutely, it's
Yes, but
disgusting. Why does
all-
my daughter deserve to be called the N-word because she's got
No,
melanated
I'm
skin?
talking about white people. What's
all-
happening to white people?
I'm talking about white folks too. Let me tell y'all something. When I started to come out and release my throat chakra, and I started speaking on the things that were prevalent and that I was aware of, initially my movement was towards white people. It was for me to enlighten and educate and get some understanding and some dialogue and talk about cognitive dissonance and all of these things, right? Jane Elliott does it. She's been doing it her whole, can I say fucking? She's been doing it her whole fucking life. Her whole fucking life, she's been doing it. Her whole fucking life, she's been talking to white folks, setting up these brilliant seminars where she does specific things so that 20 people can figure out what is really happening in this world. And you know what I realized very quickly? That it is absolutely, there is no reason for me to talk to white folks, because white folks ain't ever going to change their minds. The ones who think the way they think, there's nothing I'm going to say. I don't care if I drug my dead baby's body to your face and showed you the N-word written on it in her own skin and blood. Would you then stand up to me and say, oh, I'm sorry, this is a one-time thing? I am telling you again, the fragility that we're speaking of is coming out from y'all right now. I'm telling you again, and I'm going to keep saying it, and I don't care how redundant it is. It is happening now. Black people are being hung by trees. They're being attacked because they're Black. There are videos saying, let's go kill this N-word. This is really happening. The system sucks. The government sucks.
Stop.
People sucks. But it's the reality.
I'm not. Look. Stop. All right. If we're gonna make claims, then let's show me when was the last Black person that was hung by a tree. When does that happen recently? And if there has, I'm not saying there hasn't. I'm just saying show me something because I hadn't heard about it.
Well, I won't necessarily hung by a tree, but let's talk about
the Buffalo shooter. Great example. We have all not condoned any of that, and have all denounced the actions of that individual. Okay, I don't know what you want me to do about
I'd
that.
like to jump in if I could.
Yeah,
I've been quiet for a while. First off, I see a common theme that's happening here, and it's just everybody being lumped together as a whole. You know, I'm white, so I must be part of this. You're Black, you must be part of this. And this is where the problem is the separation on both sides. That's the main problem. I could sit here and tell you that when I worked in law enforcement, a lot of my supervisors were Black. And I respected them. They were an authority over me, and they were some of the best boss I ever had. I could also tell stories about how I had other people picked from employment positions over me because I was white, and the Black man got picked over me because it was a Black person doing the hiring. I could also tell the stories I've experienced, as good experiences with Blacks and bad experiences with Blacks, but I think that only perpetuates the problem. All right. Now, when we're sitting here saying, when slavery comes up, white people say, well, it was the Blacks that sold them into slavery. That's because whenever slavery pops up, your ancestors must have been slave owners. You're white, so you have a part in this. You're white, you should feel bad about it. No, I shouldn't, because My ancestors were Irish and Italian. They were treated like garbage when they got here. They didn't own any slaves. They didn't own shit. Matter of fact, their people were strung up in the streets too, right? So I need to defend my position and say, no, that's not it. And then we brought up Black Lives Matter. And someone said, everybody goes around chanting all lives matter, thus, dumbing down the cause. Well, I think it does need to be a thing because BLM perpetuated further separation. So it's like, okay, wait a minute. Like, yeah, I'm agreeing with you, Black Lives Matter, but you also got to agree all human life matters, regardless of color or skin. And if we go down that road, we are further perpetuating the separation. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when you hear these things come out of my mouth, I'm not a racist. I'm not a bigot. I'm just identifying the problem as a whole, because the only way we're going to solve racism within this country is if we stop nitpicking things and pulling them apart. I've never seen Black Lives Matter in an abortion clinic in the hood. Has anybody? I've never seen them there.
They're probably there yesterday. I don't know.
That's where they should be. Also, I've had a lot of, not in the town I live in, but a neighboring town, there's a ton of drive-bys where black kids are killed all the time. I never see Black Lives Matter there. So when we talk about Black Lives Matter specifically, you got to understand this is a political movement in order to sway people's thought process. And the only way we're going to get out of this racism, the only way we're going to dig this out and all be friends is if we stop being manipulated by these common things. I understand black people had it bad here. I get it. Totally bad. It hasn't been in just this country, though. It's been many countries around the world. There are places in this country I know I couldn't go because I'd get my ass kicked because I'm white. I rode through a bus through Compton at like 2 a.m. You should have seen the looks where people were giving me, right? So it is racism is a problem. I'm not denying that at all. But we need to stop picking apart these little things to keep it going, because that's what we're doing. The more we pick it apart, the more we're keeping this alive. It's never going to die unless we try to shed light on situations and try to bury things down. I'm done. Rant over.
Jester, I mean, one thing that I will say.
I'd like to say something.
Go ahead, chilady.
I definitely, I listened to Jester and a lot of things he said, his opinions. But I just want to address some things, and I'm not here to sway anyone or change anyone's mind about whatever happened in their lives or experiences. But I just want to say that as a Black person, I believe that the Black Lives Matter.
Okay, we
Our
lost
signal's out.
Yeah, your signal is out. I don't know if you can even hear us.
You may need to turn if you're on Wi-Fi, you may need to just turn Wi-Fi off on your phone and just use the if you're able to do that.
Yeah, can you do that? Just use your cellular data. So while you're saying that, I just want to address the Black Lives Matter thing. Jester, you are right, and Shy Lady, and many of us have had discussions about Black Lives Matter. But I think where Black Lives Matter, when that slogan first came out, I think what would have made the difference was if they had put two after it. If they had just said Black Lives Matter too.
Yes.
Because I understand what
I agree.
What Kimberly said, when she said that when you say all lives matter, it does negate saying, well, Black lives don't matter. And I think that if they had said Black Lives Matter too, it would have been different.
It's inclusive, is why.
Yes,
But
and
it wasn't even for Black folks anyway, and we all know that. And
I mean, right. So and that's what I'm saying, because I've with a movement that I'm doing now, I've reached out to them, and I've had talks with some of them, and I've even said, we got shootings here. We got Black kids killing, people here, whatever. Why are you not there? Whatever. So I understand that. But with BLM, and I've, again, when I say Black Lives Matter, I'm putting two after it. Black Lives Matter too. So that's where I think that when the movement started, it should have had that two, TOO, after it.
I agree.
So
And I don't want to get it twisted. I don't support Black Lives Matter. I don't support anything that has anything to do with systemic racism on either side, whether it's black and or white. And I feel like Jester in this sense too, we do pick apart the distractions that are here, but until we hold each other accountable for the mindset that is actually here, it doesn't matter what we talk about, because the reality is we should be talking about the root cause and the soil of why we are here and why we choose these narratives and why we keep being so divisive amongst each other. But we take accountability. As any black folk that I know, we talk about accountability as far as black on black crime. I don't know about you, but there was a little girl here, a little black girl, and her name was Cupcake, her nickname. She was all over the news. She was taken by a fucked up black couple, and it was smeared all over the news. But if you want to really know why, that's not plastered on the news, that's part of the root problem, because it's an insignificant event as far as the news media is concerned. It doesn't promote racial divisiveness. It promotes nothing. It doesn't even promote fear anymore. And that's the whole, don't get what I'm saying twisted, like I support this or that or the other, because I don't. And I'm not here to change minds either. But I would love if one day Michael and Ba woke up and said, oh my God, Kim was right. It is absolutely out of a way more contextualized, or whatever the word is I want. I'm so upset right now. I'm trying to calm down. I just get passionate. I'm not mad at anybody, for the record. I just get, you know what I'm saying? Because I've done this for, my oldest son is 28 and I have done this. You know, I can, and I got to use this as an example. I can call my daddy right now, my daddy, who is white, whose ancestors and my ancestors owned slaves. And I do feel shitty about it. I think it was fucked up that they did it. And there's nothing I can do to change it though then, but I can fight for black liberation now. We're not fixing a system. Back to what Michael said. I'm not trying to fix a system. I'm not trying to integrate. Black folks shouldn't be trying to integrate into the system. Shit, none of us should be trying to fix it, because it's not going to get fixed. The right wing and the left wing belong to the same bird, period. It's going the same direction and it's doing the same thing and it's doing exactly what it was intended to do. And hell, at the end of the day, we ain't even involved in that shit either. There's a whole nother entity of people that run this damn country and possibly other ones. I believe in all of that. I tell people all the time, I'm not a theorist. It's not a theory to me, baby. It's for fucking day of my life. You know what I'm saying? But all of that together, look at all the things that we agree on. Look at all the things that all of us here, different colored skin, actually agree on. And you still refuse to believe that there is this overabundance of racism that is being perpetrated on black people on a regular basis. And it comes from all of the shit, narratives, silly shit, memes, music. It comes from everywhere. We are taking all of this in. We are manifesting the environment that we live in. We have all manifested and co-created the racial climate that now exists in this country, the climate about women that exists. We've all been a part and co-created. And now we have to figure out how to co-create something different that doesn't involve the system that is oppressing everyone, but that is affecting and murdering black people right now, murdering their families, murdering them individually, murdering their culture.
Wait, Bob, can I hold on for a second? Shy lady, is your mic back if you want to say what you started to say?
No, we can't hear you, Shy.
Okay. We can't hear.
And you're not muted either.
No,
yeah.
Try going out.
Maybe your headphones. Take your headphones out. Try it.
Try it without your headphones. Take your headphones out.
While we're waiting on Shy Lady, I did want to ask Kimberly something, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So, Kimberly, you said something awesome, and it was, one of the ways that might help with this is, accountability. Holding people accountable. And I don't disagree with you, but how would we hold people individually accountable without grouping them together as a whole? Because I think if we could figure that out, we could solve a lot of issues.
Well, I actually I actually talk about this a lot. I have 2 podcasts, one of them specifically. Now, listen, this is all I can do and all I can contribute, and I'm going to be honest. I think that individually there is no changing someone's mind. And I use this story that it sounds like it has nothing to do with it, but it does. If you'll bear with me. I had a dehumanizing, abusive, terrorizing ex-husband. I shouldn't be sitting here. There was many nights that I thought about where my children were going to go the next day because he was going to kill me that night. And a couple of years ago, his current girlfriend called me, and this is 6 years out. I have restraining orders, and so does his daughter. It's a mess, right? And she wanted me to tell her about him. And I said, first of all, my self-preservation is more important. If he finds out you're calling me, both of our lives are at risk. So I'm not telling you anything. And we went back and forth for about 15 minutes. And finally I said, his name is, and I said his name, this is his birth date. And I started his social security number. I asked her if she needed the rest. Please feel free to go down to the courthouse and pull every record. If you need my permission to open anything that's domestic that you're not able to see, I will give it to you. And you can judge who he is or what it is. And I say that to say, I got words for days, baby. Whether I get them discombobulated or not is one thing, but I can speak. I'm a conversationalist. I will look up facts for people who ask me. And the Japanese get reparations from the Americans, by the way, Michael, just so you know.
Still to this day?
I don't know. I have a tab. I have like 16 tabs open on stuff we were talking about, but I'll go back and
that's okay.
I don't think so. I think they were given like 1.6 billion or something like that, but it was equivalent. I mean, it's irrelevant, but it was back in 1992. They did get reparations. So I guess they got a bulk delivery, of funds. But I just wanted to put that out. But my point is, Jester, I don't think that we can talk to anybody about accountability. I believe that we have to have these type of dialogues. And I believe that we have to listen. And again, I don't want y'all to think I'm coming at you because I'm just extremely passionate, and I'm a Gemini. So there's that. And because I have witnessed, if you have children and you've witnessed the pain of your children, you understand what I'm saying, regardless of what that pain is. You feel it in a degree that you can't express. And I've had my daughter call me because she got pulled over and been terrified. I've had my daughter followed through. She was living with her grandfather in a white community and followed, into her grandfather's house with this white man with a gun, all because she was Black and with a Black man, and the cops were there and everything. And I know I got sidetracked, but if I called my dad and I said, Daddy, please, something happened to Birdie and I need you to come. My daddy would have on an orange suit the next day if that's what needed to happen. But when the white man followed him my daughter into the community, his grandchild into the community, he did not understand. Your daughter had an attitude. Your daughter was upset. Your daughter was this. Your daughter was that. And I don't know how we can change the climate individually other than to hold our own selves accountable for our own behavior and take accountability, and also fucking say that this is happening. You can't, it's no different than, I shouldn't say no different, sex crime. There are people that don't believe that a grown man marrying a 12-year-old is a sex crime because of some religious base, right? And so we basically are allowing shit like this to happen right now because they use certain things. But if all of us just turn a blind eye and go, it's not happening. I mean, hey, there's a couple of people doing it and it's really not a big deal. Then we don't have any out, because if you're not accountable and at least acknowledge something is happening, then those few people who refuse the acknowledgement aren't ever going to open their minds up. It's just like the sleeping people that haven't been woken yet and understand what the fuck is going on in the world,
But no one on here is not only denounce racism, but said it didn't exist. I never said racism does not exist in the United States. It 100% does. 100%. Never. So I don't want you to ever think that I don't think racism exists at all. I know it does. The thing is, going back to what you said, right? Well, how do you hold individuals accountable? Because it's per the individual. We can talk about society all we want. What is society? What is the definition of a society? It's a group of people. It's a group of individuals that make up the society, whether it be similar culture or whatever. The United States is a society. We have the U.S. society. That includes black, white, Mexican, green, yellow, and people that come here legally into the country, right? That is our society. But if you didn't have the individuals making up that society, you wouldn't have the society. And so it has to be done at an individual level. Like I said, Jester brought up something about the Irish coming over here and his family being Irish. I have actual documentation that 4 of my relatives that came over from Ireland into Ellis Island, immediately when they went into Ellis Island, were conscripted into the Union Army and sent to Gettysburg to fight against slavery or the act of slavery, right? So when you break it down like that, you're grouping them into this whole racist thing. And I guess what I'm getting at is a lot of white people are racist, absolutely, but there's a lot of white people that aren't and that were, fighting against it. Just like there's white people, a part of BLM, right? That I'm not saying, again, I don't think BLM's worth it crap, right? But I'm just saying that if are you gonna lump those people in with it? And so when you say white people, all right, you're talking about the entire white race or the white thing. And so you need to say the individuals, the white individuals that are being racist we need to do something about that. But when you're grouping everybody in there, that's where.
Wait, hold on, everybody. Hold on. Shiley, are you there? Can you say something so at least we know that you're?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, but can you hear you now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to add the camera. I'm having problems. I'm hitting add camera, but for whatever reason.
That's all right.
Okay, so that's fine. I just want you to have the opportunity to say whatever you wanted to say. So go on.
I'm still trying to do the camera, but anyway, no, I apologize. I'm not really. This is actually not my computer; it's my husband, so I'm not real familiar with his, and mine is broke. So anyway,
that's fine. Just say whatever. Yeah.
Oh, she left.
Oh, she's gone again.
All right. So
She's gone again.
bye. I'm sorry. I cut you off.
No, I was just going to add, that is where I would have liked to have started the conversation tonight, is like what we can do to solve it, what we can do to fix these things. Because as Michael said, nobody that I know, especially nobody in this room, that says that racism isn't real or doesn't exist or any of that. Like, we all know it's happened. I mean, hell, I know the history of the slavery. And like I said, I may have differing views because I believe it was, a huge plan to do that to the black people and then flip it. And that's what we're seeing now, the flipping of it. So I know it exists. I know that the people who really run the world have openly, wrote books or had claims that they're using racism as a tool. It's divide and conquer. And then, so I always come round to, we have these debates back and forth on Solid Blue show, or even just me and Solid Blue. We have these audio note arguments, and I always come back to, what do you want to see happen? How do you want to fix it? And that's where I've always felt shortchanged with,
you've never accepted my answer. So I'm just going to make it very clear. One word: respect.
Okay.
So
one word.
And that's where I want to, let me pick up on that. What should the end goal look like?
Mm-hmm.
Are you serious? Should I say this on live? I'll tell you what the end goal looks like.
No, this is fine. No, it's when I'm asking it for a reason. Don't think I'm asking for a good reason. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Don't.
Well, you said, "Are you serious?" That's why I was like, "No."
No, that's just how I talk. You'll get used to me. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You'll get used to me. Are you serious? We should overthrow the government. That's what the hell should happen.
Oh.
And we should.
Okay. So
I concur.
I disagree.
I
disagree.
See that answer doesn't fit into a lot of black people's narratives. That's what the picture I get. Like, overthrowing the government is blaming the government, whereas a lot of people think that it's the people that are racist.
I think, I mean, because the government, yeah, they are and have done things, you know, that they shouldn't, and they still are. But again, I say, if I were to go next door and shoot my neighbor because I didn't like his hat, the government didn't tell me to do it. I did that on my own. And that's where I say individual responsibility, because,
Yeah.
you know, again, for me, it is just respect. I mean, just for me, for some of the things that I do and I go places, I'm like, really? I mean, it's like, I have been around white people my entire life.
Mhm.
I have been around white people probably more so than white people have been around, black people, because we're always, not just black people, but people of color are always having to go into your neighborhoods or, whatever, for work or whatever. But I have been around white people my entire life. I'm always going places where I'm usually the only one, will be the only one. Hell, when in October, this is crossed my mind. I mean, these are things that I think about. And when I mean, even by, coming to see you, I know that I will possibly, more than likely, be flying into a place, but I'm just saying that is more likely, depending upon what you're doing, that I will be the only one, as opposed to you guys being the only one, or one of few. Having said that, I have white friends. I have white friends who we have gone back and forth, and they have said some things to me where I'm like, seriously, whatever. And I have said things to them where they have called me out and they said, really, whatever. But at the same time, again, if we can just be accountable and just admit that this stuff is not made up, that we all live in our different reality. We all see the world from a different lens. The way
I
you
agree.
perceive the world is not the same way that I do.
100%. I agree. Let me make a huge point, and where I think a lot of this has gotten worse because of, all right, and we're seeing it as of yesterday with what went on. And I've said it multiple times. Those of you that listen to me on TikTok and YouTube, the United States has a responsibility problem. Okay, we have a culture, particularly people my age and younger, that think that they should be able to make the freedom of choice and be separate from the freedom of consequences of those choices. Okay, and that is growing in every aspect in our lives, when it comes to sex, when it comes to racism, when it comes to paying student loans back. This is a growing problem. All right, and when you talk about the government, like Kimberly said, well, we should overthrow the government. The government has caused a lot of these problems, right? Because the government has overstepped on it, the way that it governs. In my ideology, and by the way, I'm a constitutionalist. I think the U.S. government, as it was created, was probably the greatest invention in the history of mankind. The problem is it has overstepped, and it has been created to do something that it was never supposed to do. And so when we're going to make a law, what is that law supposed to do? What is the purpose of a law? Well, the purpose of a law is to keep people from infringing on someone else's ability to participate freely, be it in society, the economy, politically, however, right? And we have laws that have no purpose in doing any of that, and that has, like, let's say Jim Crow, right? Those laws obviously inhibited people's ability to participate in the economy and society and things like that, and that's wrong. But we also, breaking it down to a societal level, to an individual level, what is the end goal of all this? Well, I think the end goal should be that everyone has the ability, okay, the freedom of opportunity to participate economically, politically, and societally here in the United States. And so how are we going to get to the end goal? Well, it's not going to be an overthrow of the government, but it's going to make sure the government doesn't overstep on some things. But the government, I think, in the system, because when you say systemic, that means that there has to be something in place to create that problem, and that's who the government is, who does that. And so, you know, I think this is just my opinion. And when it comes to saying, oh, well, there's a lot of white fragility on this screen, the definition of white fragility is a white person getting defensive when confronted about race, right? Well, obviously, I'm going to be defensive if, on an individual level, I'm not out there caring what black people do with their lives. I do not care. I think everyone should have the opportunity to participate in everything. All right? That doesn't mean there's going to be equal outcome by any means. All right? But the free and fair opportunity. And what can I do other than me as an individual and the people I have influence over, like my kids and my family, than to do, you know, express my views and try to implement my morals and my values into them. I can't control what the redneck down the street does. All right? I can't control what Lisa does in her day. And I shouldn't be able to. I should not be allowed to. But when you're going to try and force people to act a certain way, when you're going to try and force people to, you know, pay certain taxation, when you're going to try and force them to do something else, you're inhibiting the freedoms of individuals in society in an attempt to try and make society more free. A society that focuses on equality and equity before liberty will have neither. All right? And so you have to focus on, well, how can we make more individuals free if we're going to have society be free? Because in the end, is that not what we want? Do we really care what other people think about us if we can not be impacted in our ability to go about our daily lives and work and provide for our family and have the freedom to make our decisions? Right? I get called racist on every one of my TikTok things. I get called out for twitching and being on cocaine and speed in every single one of my TikTok lives. And none of them know anything about me, but it is what it is. And so I don't control them. So,
Michael, I took up for you.
You did. No, you did. And I appreciate that. I'm not saying you didn't. Oh, absolutely. And some people do, right? And I appreciate that. I 100% appreciate that. And that is something that I think it was great. You know, if I saw, and if you're on TikTok live and some white dude is being racist to you, I think it would be, you know, something that I should speak up about. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Right? So no one's saying we shouldn't.
Absolutely.
And everyone on here, white, black, or indifferent, has denounced racist acts. There's no reason for it. The Ahmaud Arbery deal, right? Never should have happened. All right? The Buffalo shooter. Guy was a stone cold racist. There's no denying it.
And Michael, and I also want to say that when you have these drive-bys, you know, whatever, you know, and I don't like to use the word gang because there are a lot of gangs, but stereotypes have made it sound like gangs are just black people, and it's not. You know, just like people say the ghetto. A ghetto is not black people. A ghetto is, I mean, Beverly Hills full of white people is a ghetto. A ghetto is one group of people, but you know,
well, ghetto was originated to keep Jewish people in Europe.
Right. But I'm just saying, but then it went from one to the other. So when people say it, it's like you're not even saying it the right way. But no, I mean, I understand it, and you know, again, I have had, you know, we amongst my black friends, we have had extensive talks about what is going on in the black neighborhood and about the accountability. But again, it's the accountability of everyone. And Bot gets upset when I don't use the word some, but he doesn't always use the word some. You know, and he even told me he regretted even saying that to me, because now I'm saying some, and you know, and
in the argument that we had, it was needed, but not all the time.
You know, but at the same time, it's like, you know, I don't want to lump conservatives together. I don't want to lump liberals together. You know, but again, I just come down to individual responsibility. Can we just acknowledge what has happened, what is happening, what may continue to happen? if we don't get our shit together, because I see a lot of dark days coming, and I'm just gonna stay in my house, with all my food that I'm gonna learn how to do in October, whatever, and probably build a yurt.
But I think this is an important
Whatever.
discussion.
Seriously,
But I think this
but
is an important
at
discussion.
least
Go
we
ahead.
are having it, because a lot of people don't even want to talk about it because they get uncomfortable. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk. Why? I mean, because it's all around you.
Yeah, well,
You
we're
know,
talking about the race, right? And we just so happen
Right.
to be talking about the race, but the bigger problem is not necessarily the race, but the accountability aspect, okay,
Right,
and the
right.
responsibility.
And everyone, but
and so-
everyone has to be. So, but if you're in government, if you're in Congress, whether you're blue, red, purple, or green side, you are accountable for what you are doing. So if that congressman or that senator is doing something shitty, he is responsible, because he will be responsible for trying to push through a law or pass a law that shouldn't be done. It still comes back to individual responsibility.
Yeah, no one's denying that. And so what I wanted to go back to is it's with everything, right? If we want people to be accountable, then we need to make sure that they are going to hold them, because individual accountability is the most important aspect of this whole conversation and this equation, all right? Because if everyone holds themselves accountable for certain things and takes responsibility for their own actions, then society doesn't need to worry about it, because it's already taken care of in society, right? In a perfect world. But that comes down to, okay, so let's look at, and I really hate to bring this into it, but it all comes into this. Let's look at abortion. Let's look at how many people don't want to hold themselves accountable for the action that they participated in, whether you agree or not, right? Let's look at student loans, right? People who took out debt to go to college voluntarily, all right, and didn't use it right, or they dropped out because they drank too much and partied too much in school, and now they think that it should be paid back for them. It goes along every aspect, because if you can't hold yourself accountable to pay your debts back, how the hell can you hold yourself accountable for something you did that may have been a racist act or along those lines? Right? Or something else.
You have a point, and I know abortion is a show that we're going to do, but I just want to remind one thing: when that baby was made, it wasn't just a female who was doing.
You're 100% right, and the male should have to take a responsibility too. Absolutely, I agree.
The male should also have a say in the abortion. Just saying.
You're right. But again, but that's another show that we're going to do. Whatever.
I'm just talking about the responsibility, and the male has a huge responsibility, that because he participated in that consensual act as well, and assumed half of that risk as well, because he took on a major role in creation of that child and should be responsible for that child too. So it goes across the board. No one is saying it doesn't, right?
Can I add the only I would say the reason I don't like talking about this all the time is because, like I think Jester said, like, I wasn't a slave owner. I haven't been racist in my life, so why should I sit and hear, like, don't take this disrespectfully, Kimberly, but you were rattling off a lot of stories, or the one that got their hair cut, and all these stories, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, one, I know that happened and I'm not disagreeing it, but also two, the only reason you know about it is because you're hearing it in the media, some form. And also, I can also find a story or multiple stories that happened to white people the same. Like, for example, the same day that George Floyd was killed in that way, a white man was killed in that way, but you probably don't know that. And that's the problem. We all agree the media are divisive and cherry pick and cause division. So all I'm saying is, don't let that don't let that history or people who have been racist or been slaves, don't let that define you, because everyone in this room, including myself, everyone's watched Braveheart. I don't make that my reality. I don't go out feeling, oh, I'm being kept down because I'm Scottish. The English are taking my tax money. I could be living like a king because there's only 5 million people in Scotland, and we could be living like Norway with all the oil and all the whiskey and all the water. But England pillage all our money. Like, I could be living that existence, but instead I don't. I take the advice that I got from my grandparents and knuckled down, worked hard at school and got myself a good job and earned good wages. And I don't blame anyone for keeping me down. I don't have white privilege. I'll talk about this stuff. But the reason why I think a lot of white people, I may be talking out a turn, but I think white people are sick of hearing it because it does promote white guilt. And I would say, Kimberley, you've probably got some of that in you where you're hating on your own skin color for stuff that you have never done. And
Let me be very clear before anybody says anything else further. Two things. When I say white folks, I mean the white folks that have the mindset that I fight against every day. Two, I was joking about overthrowing the government, kinda. That doesn't have anything to do with the racial part of it, though. I just think the government sucks.
No, I get it. No, and look,
You
a
know
lot
what
of people
I mean?
agree with that. So I
Let the record
I
show we
believe-
should overthrow the government.
Yeah. I believe in Black liberation, and that's what I fight for every day, and I contribute to that every day. And let me also say this, and this is, I want y'all to hear me until you can't fucking hear me anymore, all right? Because I get it all the fucking time. And am I mad right now? Now, this is not passion. This is upsetness. I am not hating on my race, and I'm going to tell you why. Number one, my daddy, who is an excellent man, is a white man. My mother, who is not the most excellent woman, is a white lady. And half of what's running through my seeds that I created on purpose is white as well. So if I stand up here and I say that I hate my own race and that I hate white people, then I'm saying that I hate my mama and daddy and that I hate half of who my children are, and also saying that I hate myself. I don't feel guilty. I don't get up every day. I don't feel bad for what my ancestors do. Like I said, I cannot change it. It sucks. It's the worst thing that could have ever happened. I hate that I'm a part of that, but I also love that I am part of what created at least 3 seeds that have nothing to do with this racial bullshit other than then it's projected onto them. They don't look at another person, white, black, or any other melanation, and project any hate or discomfort or defensiveness in them. They don't look at them and judge them for the melanation in their skin or the lack of melanation in their skin. I don't hate my race. I want to make that very clear. I hate the fucking mindset of people that are projecting their hatred of someone because of their skin color onto my children. And I hate the media that enforces that and perpetuates the fear of Black people. And I hate people with the mindset that none of it is happening. That's what I hate.
But
So
you know what, though?
Can I ask one quick question? Oh, on you go, Chilady.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I felt like I had to get in there. Like when you wait for traffic, you just got to get in there. But anyway,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Real quickly, I'm listening to Kimberly, and I apologize for you guys not being able to see me. I think I'm on a computer where it's my husband's.
We hear you good though. Go ahead.
Okay,
Okay, go on, Shiley.
Okay, but what I want to say is this, and I know Bob was saying, why do we continue to talk about it? But it's never going to go away, and I know that you say, oh, that happened years ago, the slavery thing, and no one should feel guilt. No one should feel guilt. But I just want to say that this stuff is still happening. Because I'll give you an example. About a couple of months ago, a relative of mine, who happens to be very, very bright. He has a engineering degree. He also has a master in math. He just got about a year ago, and he applied for this job. He was contacted by a recruiter. The recruiter was white and actually said to him, "Oh, I'm just doing my quota. I'm just going to tell you right now, you're not going to get the job." This is what he actually told him. You're not going to get the job. And he was very, very upset. And he told a relative about it, his wife. He was like, he told me I'm wasting my time. I shouldn't apply. And she was like, no, apply for the job. And he actually went out, instead of going through the recruiter, he went directly to the company and applied. And he got the job. So I say that to say, this stuff exists. He's more than he was very qualified for this position. It's a technical position. It's
I'm
very,
glad you brought that up.
I just want to say that he didn't even know this guy over the phone. He just saw his resume, knew that he was Black, and he was like, just told him, I'm just going to be honest with you. You're wasting your time. I mean, how are you going to say that to a person?
And you say quota too, right? And I'm glad you brought that up. That is a freaking major problem we have.
But
A major problem. You're right, 100%. And guess what? Guess who has done that at the freaking worst and highest level lately? Our own government. Because why? Well, you just said this individual is highly qualified, but because of whatever quota, who cares what the reason was? All right, he was shut out of that talent pool. All right, and it goes both ways. We have a Supreme Court justice that was just nominated only because she was a black woman. All right, with no insight into the better candidates that could have been out there. She may have been the best one, I don't know, but we will never know. And that goes all around. That's a huge fundamental problem.
Do you know?
And Michael, one thing that I will say is that, if Biden was going to do that, he should have at least said, I'm considering this person, and then just picked her, whatever. But I understand what you are saying. But again, I just want people to know that we all live different lives. We all, we see lives. I mean, we see the world through a different lens. The way I live my life and the way I see it is different from. I know it's different from the way Bob sees it. Whatever. But I just, again, Bob, go ahead.
Can I drop my analogy that I've been teasing you with for a while, and it's just on that point, right? I'm sure you know about maybe like gas stations, or you've seen signs in houses saying no blacks, or even like ladies of the night saying no business to blacks. That goes on, right? Mm-hmm. What's your feelings towards those businesses and people?
I think that if you're going to be a lady of the evening, first of all, you have the right to sleep with whomever you want, but I mean, but at the same time, it's like,
what about hotels?
But it is still, so you're saying the hotel, or you're talking about?
Yeah, like hotels, also people with private houses out for rent, or gas stations saying no gas served sold to black people. There's signs in windows, ads that have said no black people. That still goes on today. Like, yes, what would you feel about these people?
And I think that is wrong.
But that's their truth. Maybe that gas station was like,
you're right.
Black people have stolen from that gas station.
Right. You're right. Yeah. So I'm not denying that. I mean, every time you want to come back to me and say, hey, what about this? I know you're waiting for me to say, oh no, bad.
No, you passed the test.
No, I mean, I'm telling you, I know people do fucked up shit on every side.
Yeah.
So that's
so to me, that kind of like so you're saying that's okay that the owner of this gas station has been mugged, or whatever, from black people time and time again. They've said this is enough.
Should they put like this?
That's their truth, though.
If you don't want to rent to, you're right. It is their truth. Do I think that if a person doesn't want to rent to a black person because they are black, I look at this. If I don't want to rent to someone because they are white, I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to say, if you don't want to sell that wedding cake to that same-sex couple, I'm going to say, you know what? I'm busy. I'm sorry. I have so many orders. I'm not going to be able to do it. Mm-hmm. I say, don't put it out. Don't put it out there. You don't have to say, no, whatever.
I would say, if they want to do that, let them do it. Yeah. I don't care, right?
Because the bottom line is, if they don't want to do it, they're not going to.
Yeah, but mine. You've heard me say my saying, right? By the way, I should copyright this, right? It should have hashed, the little hyphen Michael Key after it. Would you rather a venomous snake be laying in the middle of the road where you can see it and avoid it, or to be under all the brush, concealed where you could step on it?
I'd rather see it. So yeah, you're right. You're right.
And so, what I'm saying is, at the individual level, all right, in our society, if someone wants the freedom to go and say put a whites only, Chinese only, blacks only on their store, let them do it, right? Because a free market
Yep.
will compete that out. Why?
Yep.
Well, I'm going to see that and be like, dude, you're crazy. Black people have $1.4 trillion in spending power, right? I want that business, and I'm going to get all the white people that don't condone it, and the
Well,
Chinese people that don't condone it.
I'm trying to make sure that doesn't happen because I'm doing my black boy
But I would say that if you allowed because here's the thing, political freedom and economic freedom, while they're two separate things, they go hand in hand.
Yes.
They're married to each other, okay? And so to truly have a free society, first of all, you need free markets. You also need freedom at the political level. So anything that's going to keep someone from participating in some sort of free trade, all right, should be illegal. But if it's at the individual level, they have the freedom to do it. So it's at the government level that keeps people from participating in free trade. Shouldn't be allowed. That shouldn't be a law. At the individual level, though, it's important because we can have the freedom of choice to go to that store or go to this store, right? And so I think that if they want to do that, let them do it, right? As long as it's not harming someone physically and keeping them from participating in commerce. Like if it was a monopoly that, like Amazon said, oh, we're not selling to black people. Huge problem, right? Because Amazon, you got to go to Amazon to get a lot of shit. But if there was 10 alternatives to Amazon, let Amazon do it. They'll fail. That's what I'm saying. A lot of this stuff in a free society will work itself out.
Yeah.
As morals grow, especially as, would you not say that there are more white people, especially, let's take the South, where I'm from. How many people in the 1960s participated in Jim Crow on the white side, only going to the white bathrooms and the white, all that, a lot of them, right? But now you don't see that. So as a society, we're being more open to this, and the morals and the values against race, I would say as a whole, have progressed extensively. And I think that society will have a lot of this worked out if you just let people do what they want to do at the individual levels, as long as it's not going to physically harm someone, keep them from participating.
Okay. Jester, I also want to say this to you because Max is on here and Marcy's on here, and I just wanted to say this to you that when I come onto your podcast, and I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass, I truly mean this. When I come onto your podcast, you have, and I've said this before, have made me welcome. You really have, and I say because Max is on here and Marcy's on here and it's one other person that I have to scroll back through. But anyway, you guys have made me welcome, and I thank you for that. And in October, if I'm the only one,
we love all of our fellow conservatives. Is why.
I
don't think she heard that.
And I did hear that. I'm ignoring it. And in October, if I'm the only one standing, I am looking forward to meeting you guys, and having a good time and learning. So I just want you to know that.
Absolutely, and I have thought about that. Like if you show up and you are the only black person there, I don't want you to feel awkward or any type of way. Just FYI.
Solid. If it makes you feel better, if I end up going, I'll be the only procrastinator there. So, and that's a huge problem. That's a direct opposite and negative to this community. So I feel like I'm a definite threat.
Well, I just wanted to say that, and I'm gonna have to put this on the thing because this is what Max just said. So, but yeah, but it is a thought, and I'm not gonna lie, it's a concern, and it's not even so much of a concern there. It's more of a concern of me getting from point A to point B. I just have that concern. So that's it.
Getting back on topic though.
Well, okay. So she's finished. So let's finish.
Well, no, because
no, that's fine. That's fine. Go ahead.
I think a lot of going back to like what Ball said about white people being tired of hearing a lot of this stuff. I don't think I'm tired of hearing about it. If it's occurring, then report on it. Okay. I guess where I've done a lot of thinking of, and we have yet to do our racial podcast solid. That will come up, okay? Because I did tell you I wanted
well, that's because you've been addicted to TikTok and you don't even come back on
I've been on YouTube
Podbean
and
anymore.
TikTok. I know.
He has a big problem. He needs to get back on the bean. I keep telling him about it.
You know, he is addicted
Kino,
to TikTok.
listen.
Jester, I'm looking for your podcast, by the way, but go ahead. Speak.
A lot of it seems like to me, because I spend a lot of time on TikTok lives going into black people's lives and listening to what they talk about. I think it's important, especially opposition, because if there's a problem, I need to hear it, right? How can I be open to anything if I'm not listening to the other side? So I do go into the TikTok lives and listen to the opposition, regardless of whatever I think. And so a lot of when it comes to like, it just seems like a lot of it, they want to put it into the government's hands to control resources to try and give everyone and create the equality for people. The problem is if you do that, you can't have a government that doesn't discriminate and a government that controls the resources and means of production at the same time. It's impossible. And so I guess that's where I'm saying when we're talking about a solution, the solution needs to be geared towards promoting individual freedoms, all right, and limiting the government from inhibiting anybody at all in the United States ability to against those freedoms, like an exercise of those freedoms.
Can I offer my way to fix it or idea? So I like this quote. I've got to get this in. I've got this quote saved. It's by a man named Thomas Sowell. Yes.
You don't know who Thomas Sowell is? Oh
no, I was actually going to watch that documentary today, but I was too busy with another podcast, and I will get to it. But his quote is, "Racism is not dead, but it is on life support, kept alive by politicians, race hustlers, and people who get a sense of superiority by denouncing others as racists." And for those that don't know, this man is black, which is take it or leave it.
Thomas Sowell is one of the smartest people in U.S. history and most visionary people in U.S. history, and he just so happens to be black. Thomas Sowell is a very smart individual.
And you know what? Him being black doesn't mean that he is for the black cause. I mean, let's be real. I'm not negating.
No, I didn't say that anyway.
No, but you made that point of him being
obviously
black.
Because obviously you guys like to point it out when it's the other way around.
No, and I've said. I mean, I'm telling you,
Kimberly,
I will.
Kimberly's coming on.
You should I say good shit. So
that's what I'm saying. That was the first sentence that Solid Blue said was you got to listen to Kimberly. She's white and she gets it. She's white and she gets it. Mm-hmm. So anyway, so my idea, I'd like to know your thoughts on my idea, is to treat racism like we treat bullying. The same. I know some people don't like this, but I think they're pretty much the same thing. And what are we taught in school when there's a class clown? Ignore them, because all they want is attention. So the racists in the world, the media, we all agree at one point they cherry pick, they tell us what's going on with racist crimes, but they don't tell us about the black on black or the white on white as much, because they want to divide and conquer. So how about we ignore the racists, whether it be on an individual level, you go into a store, ignore them, just walk away, make them feel stupid, and do the same with the media, ignore them.
You know why? You know why we can't do that?
Why?
Because there was a group of individuals that stood around and recorded a racist white man punching a fucking black woman in her face in front of Target, and ignoring him violently attacking her didn't change anything. We can't ignore racism. We cannot. We can ignore the narratives and the system that's in place and the history that's been put, that the history that we have. We can ignore those things to try to generate something new, but we cannot just ignore racism. We just can't. And there is plenty of black folks that disagree with me. and all the white privilege. Again, these aren't words that I use. I don't even like the word white fragility. I think that's bogus bullshit. It has nothing to do with anybody being fragile or defensive, or I think the other word for fragility, hold on, I'll tell you, they use two words: discomfort.
Yeah.
I don't think it's discomfort. I think it's denial of people's own accountability for the fact that something has to be done. There aren't enough white folks. I appreciate it if Michael and Jester and Ba are not racist. I appreciate it if they've never used the N word. I appreciate it if they've never projected whatever they feel about any hatred or negativity onto another person. I can absolutely appreciate that. But at the end of the day, this is not something we can ignore. I couldn't have ignored all the times that my children were attacked physically, verbally. But I called the cops on a white family in a neighborhood once because they were literally threatening us with our lives. And the police went down to their house and didn't stop. We had to make the cops come talk to us first. You don't, as a victim, you don't go to, and those are the things that can't be ignored. We can't allow police officers to murder Black people in the street and be the judge and jury. It's not about the act or that individual racist. It's about the fact that we collectively allow it to go on continually. We do nothing. Neither does Black Lives Matter. Paint some shit in the road and they're on to the next, whatever, so, just like when, I don't know who talked about it, talked about Camille, but I can appreciate the fact that my daughter can look into the White House and see that there is a Black woman in the White House, but she ain't for Black people. She put more Black men behind bars under the system that wasn't built for them than practically anybody. I'm not a fan because, so of course on each side there is this and there is that, and there are people that do this. And like I say all the time, when people come at me about children and sex trafficking and children and this and children and that, if that's your fight, baby, get your ass up and fight like hell for whatever injustice it is that you want to fight for. Miss Kimberly is fighting for Black liberation. Miss Kimberly is fighting against oppression. Miss Kimberly is fighting against genocide. And I'm starting with my seeds, first of all, just them being birthed. And I'm also educating them on the root cause of how we got here and to not follow up with the distractions that we have all talked about since we've been here. Because that's all that these are distractions all day long. But the fact of the matter is, again, and I say this again, that it is in fact happening. And there are plenty of white people that you cannot even address about it because they are uncomfortable and because they are defensive, because they know that they have co-created. I don't use the N-word. And guess what else I don't do? I don't allow a motherfucker around me to use it either. I'm jumping all down their throat and down their neck. You don't like white people? Cool. But what you're not going to do is stand in front of me and degrade or dehumanize a Black person by using words like that. You see what I'm saying? What I'm not going to do is put my money in the white community because that side of the community has enough. I hire only Black folks. I put my money in the Black community. I only visit Black establishments. That is for my seeds. That doesn't mean I hate anybody. It just means that's what my contribution is to their own wealth. I believe that they need to be liberated, and that's what I'm going to fight for. I'm not projecting hate. I'm not going out and punching just random white people in their throat and shit because they suck. This is what I'm doing. And I think that we all need to do something to make this world a better place. Something, anything,
Well, I mean, just to follow what you said. I mean, with the bully concept, again, I am 100% for you cannot ignore it. And I would never, ever, ever tell my child who was being bullied to ignore it, because I don't want my child to ever feel that his mother or father did not take up for him. And guess what? If that child is still being bullied and you're just
No.
saying, oh, just ignore it, just ignore it. A lot of those kids come home. I mean, I understand what you're saying, because you have
I'm
said
not
to
saying
me on
ignore
several
bullying.
times, you have said several times that it makes you stronger. But, for bullies and racists and things like this, you have to confront it head on. You have to call those people out so they'll know that what they're doing is unacceptable. Because if you ignore it, a lot of times people think that, well, no one's saying anything to me, so I can
It's
just
not. It's not about ignoring the acts. The acts they'll take the law will take care of those. And obviously the bullying side of things, there's advice. Obviously that's what parents are for, to give their kids advice on how to tackle the bullying. What I'm pointing out is that obviously the media like to take those stories and highlight them. That's the part I'm on about. What I know it's never going to happen, but if the media did decide to not highlight racial stuff in the media and promote love, like for example, a game of football just across the road, 60,000 fans can fit in that stadium, and one guy throws a banana at a black player or does this, and the whole stadium gets shut down, and 40,000 people can't go to the game next week because of that one guy. That is a tool that they use, and it's also promoting, because there are nut jobs that will look at that and laugh and go, I'm going to do that as well, because you're never going to fix this. We've already I mentioned that analogy of a gas petrol station or a hotel owner saying no blacks. You're never going to fix it. So why don't we try a different tactic?
No, I mean,
because
I understand that, but I mean,
It's the advice that we give to our kids when a bad thing happens or they get bullied is, it'll make you stronger. But with racism, it seems that advice doesn't work. You can tell a disabled person with no legs, look, all this good advice, but when it comes to racism, you can't. It's like, no, we have to. It's different.
Because you know why? Because people in the end, people are going to do whatever they want to do. I mean, again, you're going to wear a mask, you're not going to wear a mask. You're going to get the jab, you're not going to get the jab. You're going to send your kids to public school, you're not. I mean, people in the end are going to do whatever they want to do. But my feelings on racism is, this country was built on the DNA of racism. It's never going away. Yes, you can have your little group of friends who aren't, whatever, but across the street, you can have somebody who, whole family of, black people who don't like white people, or the Asians. You go into their stores or whatever. I don't shop Asian. I don't buy any Asian products because of how I have been treated. So I'm like, but at the same time,
would it be okay for me to do that? Would it be okay for me to not buy any black products then, because I had 10 black people in my lifetime just have hated me?
If that is your choice, but I have literally, when I have gone into Asian stores, probably 9 times out of 10 have been treated so shitty. I'm like, I'm not fucking.
Yeah,
let me ask though. And I agree with you. I agree with your stance. Okay, but I just want to ask you something. Okay, because again, remember I said you should be able to do whatever the hell you want to do. But if I came on this show, all right, and you didn't know me, and this is the first time I was on here, and I started off saying, I don't buy anything from a black-owned store or any product made by a black person because of how I have been treated by black people. As a white person, what would you have told me? That's pretty freaking racist, huh?
Racist. Yeah, I know.
Me? Can I answer that though?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
You know what I would have said?
What's that?
I would have said, then don't.
And that is exactly what I would tell you
why. And I'm going to tell you why. Because unfortunately, there's enough white people that don't buy in the black community. And that's not something we're going to change anytime soon. I mean, we can't even agree on the extent that racism exists in the country. So I'm saying, yeah, because I do that. And so I feel like, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. This can get so intertwined. I've met gay men that are gay because they said they were raped by a woman. I've met white women who said they only date black men because they were raped by a white man. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we can tit for tat in any avenue.
I agree.
do that. You know what I mean? And if that's what they want to do and that's their choice,
And
then
I agree.
absolutely,
But
100%.
you know
I
what,
agree.
Michael, but when it comes to
I'm
you
not racist.
spending your money,
Mhm.
you know, people can spend their money however they
100%.
want, you know. And I mean, because even for me, and I'm not patting myself on the back, even though I probably should, I have managed to create a very successful, and I
Mhm.
mean successful, online skincare company
Which is great.
because it works. Okay, you know, and um, you know, I don't. There's a reason why I purposely have not gone main stream, and I've had people come up to me and saying you need to start selling in Target and Amazon, whatever, because you would make
Oh
so
yeah.
much money. And I know that I would, you know, but I purposely don't let people know that I'm a black owned business. I purposely don't do that because I think it would it would it wouldn't be to my benefit. Whatever. Very few people know,
You're probably right to certain people. You're right. I'm not disagreeing
you
with that,
know.
right?
So,
Because this, yeah,
but I mean, but if people don't, if you came on here and I didn't know you, whatever, or even if I did know you and said I'm not going to buy from you because you're okay, fine, you know, because I'm going to spend my money how I want to spend it. I have gone into black stores where I have been treated so shitty. I'm
Mhm.
like, seriously, really?
Yep.
Bye. I am not coming back.
No, no. Look, I have no problem with what you're doing, right, and how you spend your money at all. That's the theme I've gone on this whole thing, right? All I'm saying is, if I made the same comment you did, you would have thought of me different, whether you said it or not. But internally, you wouldn't have thought I was a racist at all for it,
No, no,
as long as I was
no.
able to justify it.
No,
You don't
if
have
you
to
said
justify
if you said that you're not, well, true. And when it comes to spending your money, you don't have to justify to anybody. But if you came on here and said I'm not buying black because every time I've gone and, you know, I've been robbed by black people or this and this and this, then you know what? Then don't do it.
Yeah, and it could be my loss too, because there's could be a product out there I need that a black
Yeah,
person makes damn
yeah,
well, right?
yeah.
And so that goes to the whole competition aspect, right? As far as like you saying, well, I don't want to go mainstream and say I'm a black owned business. You're 100% right. There's going to be someone out there, it may be an Asian too, right? That I'm not buying black owned, right?
Well, one of the main reasons why I'm not doing it is because I have a podbean troll that has gotten dangerous.
Yeah.
So
What and here's the thing I'm saying, and here you never said you weren't going to serve Asians, right? They can come buy your
I
skincare
mean,
products,
they want to come
100%.
by. I'm just not
Yeah,
shopping from them.
yeah. And so, but now, I want to say this. So, while I agree 100% wholeheartedly, and I have no problem with anything that you've said, there are consequences to what you say, because if there's an Asian person listening
Yep.
to you saying I'm not buying Asian, they're not going to buy from you. Maybe
You're right, but then again, like I said, very few people know what
No, I know.
my
I'm just
product
giving you
is,
the
and I make
concept.
a point. No, and I
Yeah.
understand that. So when I'm out promoting my products, I'm doing it in a completely different way. And
Mhm.
knowing that I'm on a platform that is public, I make damn sure that
Is it,
this is
But that's what's
separate
great about this
from
whole
this.
thing. That's what's great about a lot of this, right? Because we're in a society where we have, at least for the most part, I'd like to see it a lot better. You can promote your business however you see fit, that you think is most advantageous to you, whether it is or not. And another business doing the same thing can promote it the way they see fit, and you're going to compete, okay? And whatever one that society or the consumer deems more viable, more reasonable, and more valuable is going to win. All right? And that's how it should be. And so I think we look a lot at this stuff. Should you look at me like I'm a racist if I came on here and said I'm only buying black? You may, but that doesn't mean you need to address it. If you do, whatever, it'll come back and bite me in the ass. However, society or the consumer see fit if I'm a business owner, right? And that's how it should be. No one should be coerced, especially coerced by the government, to act a certain way, to have to pay for certain things, to have to perform certain actions at all. Let society work it out at the individual level in a free and fair environment, okay? And that is that's the only proven way in our history to make gains. It is.
But
can I
where we
can I
spend our
interrupt?
money,
Wait, can I interrupt one moment? I know that we are like going over, and since Shy Lady's not here, we can bring one person up. Is there anyone who's listening? I can put the link down here. Whoever comes up first, if anybody wants to come up and say a couple of things. So, I'm sorry, Kimberly.
I just want to say I'm a little calmer because the Xanax kicked in. I knew I was going to have to calm down for this show because my seeds are literally everything, and I tell people all the time because, like I said, I get it from both sides. I get it from Black folks. I ain't got no business talking, and I get it from white folks saying that I'm hating on my own race and everything. But at the end of the day, where we spend our money is one thing. But not allowing people to spend their money somewhere is another issue. And I'm not disagreeing or agreeing with you, Michael. But what I'm saying is that, and again, everything I say, I don't want y'all to think because I bring something up that I support it, because you have to keep in mind at the back of your head that I don't support any of the system. But at the end of the day, if that was the case, then literally the civil rights movement was just fucking worthless and absolutely in vain. If we start allowing people to say you're not coming in because of the color of your skin, because you and I both know if people are putting signs up like that, regardless of what it is for, if it is specifically for a race or the color of your skin, it has nothing. That doesn't have, I'm sorry, that does have to do with the color of your skin, and not because something else happened when you use the word justified. Because Black people are mistreated in stores, all the time, and that, but people still allow.
See, I don't think it should be justified. I don't think it should have to be justifiable, right? But what I'm saying, so in your example, like with the government, going back, the civil rights movement, they were protesting a government systemic, society that was keeping them from doing it. Like Jim Crow laws were actual laws in southern
Right.
states that kept them from participating as a whole. So it's
Agreed.
wrong. It's wrong if you're going to inhibit someone in the way they spend or where they spend their money if they have no other alternatives for the same thing, to spend their money on the same thing, right? Because you crush competition. That's why I used the monopoly example, saying that if a company was a monopoly, they controlled the entire marketplace for a certain industry, and they said that, no Black people can buy here. You have completely shut out any access to a probably maybe needed product, right, for Black people to participate at all. That is wrong. In a free and fair society, though, in a free market society, in a competitive society, you don't have monopolies, all right? And there are alternatives. Therefore, going back to my example, if I don't want Black people to buy from me and I stop them from spending their money, my loss, someone else competing in the same industry, they're going to go and sell it to them. What is a famous thing that Michael Jordan said? Republicans buy shoes too, which means he wasn't going to discriminate off of people's political stances because they were consumers as well from a business standpoint. Because you had other people, maybe like and I'm not saying this is true, but let's take like a LeBron James who has spoken out and said things in favor of China that people don't like. They may not want to go spend their money there. They're going to go to Michael Jordan, who probably may hold the same opinion that LeBron James does. I don't know, but he hasn't made it clear, right? And he has made it more welcoming for everyone to come and partake in his commerce. And so he will outcompete the people that are going to cut people out. You allow the competition, you allow people to have the ability to participate how they see fit. It won't matter if you have people that are stopping someone from spending their money in a certain place, because you'll just go somewhere else and do it somewhere else, and it'll shut them out and they'll go out of business.
But let's just consider a what if. What if that person that puts that sign on their window then that encourages and gives further permission for another person to put a sign on the window, and now everyone who carries that product, because they carry this same particular mindset, it's not a monopoly anymore, but they're shutting it down. Now, I'm not saying that does happen or doesn't.
It's a good question.
When we come to accountability, we also have to look at the fact, just like me using the N-word. I have plenty of people all the time like, you can use the N-word. No, you know why? Because it gives other white people permission to use it.
So right? Great question. Okay. And what you're kind of referring to is more of like an oligopoly market, which again can be wrong, because that is few. And I say from economics, it's easy. I'm an economics person. It's easy for me to explain this. That's why it sounds like I'm always talking about business, but it has a lot to do with this. So in oligopoly sense, let's take a grocery stores. You have Walmart, Publix, Kroger, like the big ones, right? Not a lot of mom and pop shops unless you're in the South and some small communities. So if they are all together and saying, all right, we're, as the food industry, not going to allow black people to participate, that's a huge problem. But then what comes into place is what kind of barriers to entry into that marketplace are there? Because what you run into, per your example, is, yeah, maybe they do encourage, and then you end up getting the majority or all of those businesses in that industry on one page and it limiting people. But then is it easy for someone like myself who may see that, well, shit, I'm going to go open my grocery store and get all of the black business, which is going to be a huge market share in total compared to the stuff that they're splitting up amongst each other? Or is it, well, it's going to cost me $100,000 and so much regulation that I can't get in there and compete, and therefore it works out to where it does the same thing in my monopoly example, right? So there's a couple different aspects to it, because you're right, that could be a problem. And then it's like, well, are we limiting available competition or potential competition from entering the marketplace and going against that? Because someone will go against it. Just like if you were in a crowd of racist people, but you're not, you're thinking differently from them. So if you were in a business aspect, you're going to say, well, how can I help this? How can I make this better? How can I benefit from this, or benefit the people that are suffering from this? Because they're being, they don't want black people on their beach. Fine. I got my own beach. Come, everyone's welcome here. You're right. And so that's how it works out. So it's what kind of access into the markets do people have? And again, it will all work itself out if it's done right. The freer it is, the more it'll work itself out.
See that analogy there that I use that you're referring to, and I love what you're saying there, Michael. But that's the analogy that I've been keeping, like, saying is solid. I've got one for you that'll maybe make you rethink this whole my truth, my opinion thing. And that's where I always say my philosophy background kind of stands me in good stead for this, because that one's easy for me, and obviously for you as well, Michael. We agree. Everyone should have the right. If you want to put a sign in your window saying no people with blonde hair can enter my shop, you've got the freedom to do it. But then the obviously society and everything, you'll be it's basically survival of the fittest. If you're not going to serve people with blonde hair, someone else will, and you'll struggle. But for Solid to say, and this is where, like, it was like a kind of gotcha, like, how do you feel about people with hotels or houses out for rent, or a lady of the night, or a gas station saying we don't serve black people? And you're like, well, that's okay. But then how far do you go with that? Because you have to be true to your philosophy on that. If you're okay with that, are you then okay with Amazon doing it? Yes. No?
First of all, it's not, you always try to do these I got you.
No, it's not. I know it is. It's whatever, philosophy.
But, and this is why I'm saying that if this is what people are doing, it sucks. I don't believe that you should tell or put a sign up saying no blacks, no Chinese, whatever. I think it's wrong. But if that's how you feel, I can't stop it, because people are going to do, like I said, at the end of the day, people are going to do what they want to do. And Michael made a very good point. Would you rather see the snake in the road, or the one
covered up in the bushes? Yeah.
And I would rather see the one that is in the road, because I want to see it coming.
And you've just said there as well that you won't shop in an Asian store or something to that.
And the reason why I haven't is because, like I said, 9 times out of 10, every experience I have had in an Asian store has been just rude, nasty, and mean.
But that right there is the definition of racism, because just because you've had a bad experience in that store, you're branding all Asian stores as a bad experience, which is racism. No,
actually, that's me being a bigot. So,
or bigotry, but how I like to have the same philosophy for the same argument.
No, and
xenophobic. I'm kidding.
was gonna
Go
put it,
ahead.
No, I mean, and I understand what you're saying, but I'm not saying that I'm not going into their store because of the color of their skin. And you
But
are
you,
making making a point when you say that I'm branding
you just said Asian.
all Asian stores, but for me, from the way I was treated,
Mhm.
that is my reasoning
Yeah.
for not. I'm not shopping with them because
But we classify Asian as the color of their skin in this country.
Yeah.
That's like how we say black, we say Asian as the same thing,
put it
right?
like this.
So we do that.
I'm not going to shop in stores. I mean, the only way that I can
Owned-
say it,
owned by Asian.
Exactly.
You
It is
know,
what
Well,
it,
but-
say it like
is
me.
what it is.
I only shop in black. I only shop in the black community.
But
I mean,
that's
you
the thing.
can say I'm
It
only
is
gonna
what it
shop
is.
at American.
Great. Who cares? I don't think any less of you. You know why?
know.
Because you can do whatever you want, and that's the problem. Is that people do, or they're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe Lisa said that." Right? Well, she may have a reason.
I'm not, but again, I'm not. Put it like this.
Sorry, on you go.
You don't need to
just-
justify. You don't have to
No,
justify anything.
No, Michael, sorry. I think
Good.
she does because of her stance on racism and my truth. Because you sound as if you're okay with racism when it suits you, but not when it's against blacks. That's how that sounds.
No. And you always try to paint me into that corner.
How
and
does that sound?
No, and I'm always telling you that you are wrong. I am saying that I am not going to dislike someone because of the color of
You're disliking an Asian
But
store, all Asian stores?
Wait, but I'm not disliking Asian people. I'm saying that when I go, the 9 times out of 10 that I have gone into an Asian store,
Yeah.
I have been treated extremely rude. I mean, I have gone into an Asian stores where they've actually told me to please leave, and if I wanted to buy something from them,
Lisa, can I ask you a question? If I said that all black people do nothing but eat fried chicken every night, is that racist?
I would say that's a stereotype.
Okay,
That's just ignorant.
no, it may be no, hold on. It may be. I'm not. Listen where I'm coming from. It may be ignorant, and it is a stereotype, right? I'm not saying it's not. What I'm getting at is, but today there's a lot of the stereotypes are, wow, that's racist, 100% racist, right? And so but I never said I didn't like black people. Just because I said they eat fried chicken every night has nothing. I may love black people, right? Just like you said that. Well, I'm not buying from an Asian store because of things I've had, and you may be stereotyping how they run their businesses, but you just said you don't have a problem with Asian people. So that's what I'm getting at, right? Where is it? Okay, is it only racism if I say I dislike someone?
Then I stand where you are right. Because I can say I don't like the way they run their business towards people who look like me. But I am saying that 9 times out of 10 where I have gone into an Asian store, I have been treated and that's why I say I am not going to their store. However,
as a rational person, you would not continue to go into their store or an Asian store because the majority of the time.
And I have not been. I mean, honestly, I have not shopped in an Asian store in like years, and I don't even think about it because now the things that I need, I either make it myself. Or I get it someplace else.
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it.
See,
and I actually have agents who are coming to me asking to buy me out because of my product because it's a damn good product.
See that mindset that then leads you into you've kind of backed yourself into a corner there where you have to then take into consideration racists' truth.
You're right.
Like a person comes on here right now and says the utmost disgusting things about a black person or a Jew you then can't hate on them because you don't know their truth.
You're right.
That's where it's dangerous.
You're right. And this is where I have always said people have had experiences. You don't know what somebody's backstory is. If you have been in a situation where a whole bunch of black people have come around you and they've beaten you up or whatever, I understand you not wanting to be around black people. I'm not painting myself into a corner because I know who I am and what I'm doing. Welcome,
can y'all hear me? How you doing? Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Hey, Jay.
If you've had a bad experience with someone, and you decide not to be around that, because of the bad experience you keep continuously having. That's not racism.
Mhm.
That's you. That's common sense. I'm not going to keep going to a place where I'm being treated like shit. That's not racism.
Agreed.
Just like I believe that if she was go to a black community and black people keep treating her a certain way, she's not going to not like black people. She's not going to go there anymore
Mhm.
because she doesn't want to be treated that way. That's not racism.
I agree.
If she's being treated by Asians a certain way, I'm going to eliminate me being treated like by Asians by not being around Asians right now.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? If they decide to do differently, okay, I'll continue shopping with you. Until
No.
then, it's not racist.
You're right.
That's
But society
decided
is labeling us as racist. They're labeling her as being racist for doing that.
They can say whatever they want. They can say whatever they want, but she's not. She's just trying to eliminate the problem.
I agree.
The racist part is branding all other Asian peoples. That store, don't go to it. You're right. But when you brand all other stores,
can I interrupt
that's
for one
wrong.
moment? Jester may have to leave us, so I just wanted to formally say thank you very much, Jester, for coming.
Yeah, I got to go, guys. I didn't realize I was going to be here this long.
I didn't realize we were going to be here this long.
Thanks for having me. I mean, you know, and I like one final thing I got to say before we get out of here is that, you know, racism is real. I'm not denying that it's real. It does need to end, and I don't think we're going to end it by keeping it alive with certain ideologies, right? But that's all. But I'm out. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me, everybody.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I did not mean to interrupt. When you and your bestie going over here with your kisses. But anyway. Okay, so did I interrupt Savage or did I interrupt Ba?
Savage, I think.
Okay, Savage.
But okay, so and I 100% agree with you, Savage. You're right. The problem with society, like branding, let's say Lisa, for example, her as a racist now, is it can be exaggerated. Let's say in the news. Let's take Kyle Rittenhouse, who didn't even shoot a black person, right? Said nothing about black people. So, and even if he did commit murder, which he didn't, he didn't do it in a racist way. And so he was branded a racist, though, on the mainstream media by our own politicians, and therefore it has shut him out from participating in a lot of the economy and society, right? Think about what his life will be like regardless of any of that because of the racist part, not even because of the murdering part, because of the people think he was a racist. And so that's where the problem with labeling someone as a racist when it really wasn't racially based is that's where the problem is.
We cannot control who labels us as a racist
Mm-hmm.
at all.
I know.
I could walk down the street in a white neighborhood and I could look and be like, hey, I don't want to go here, turn around, and somebody see me turn around, like, oh, he might be a racist because he don't want to walk through a white neighborhood. I have no control over that.
You're right.
You know what I'm saying? And this is as we know that society, the media and all that, they do that on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Your purpose is to ignore that. Like you were saying earlier, I agree with some of the things with the racism thing you need to ignore. And start your own. You can't save the world. You start your own circle. They know that you're not racist. That's where you keep it. You know what I mean? And then when something big happens, you have your backup of your cultural people. It's like, I know this guy. He's not racist.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You stay with your own circle, and it builds from that.
Mm-hmm.
We can't stop. We cannot stop the media from doing what they're doing until we get our own media. We can control the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Until then, they're going to do what they want. As long as you're who you are in the society that you are in.
Yeah. And I know I'm arguing from like a societal ideology that does not exist right now because you just acknowledge it, right? Like, how can we control the media and what they say, which is fine because, again, that just leads to the free and fair market thing that I talked about. You're not going to control it. You can control the government from doing stuff like that, though. You know, that's because that's a whole different issue. But from a societal standpoint, you can't. So it's like, well, the only way to change what I would like to see is by recreating society, which can't happen. So I'm not saying I'm giving a plausible outcome. I'm just telling you that the way that we should approach it is by fucking worrying about our own selves and doing the things that we are going to do and understanding that people are going to think the way they want and they're going to do certain things. And as long as it is not physically harming someone and keeping them from doing the certain thing and competing and fairly and equally like everybody else, competing is a big thing. then because again, racism's always going to be here, religion's always going to be here. A lot of hate is driven not from a racial aspect, from a religious aspect in the world. I mean, look at the Sunnis and the Shia Muslims. They fight each other. They fight other religions. That's been going on since human history. So it's not even, hate isn't just one-sided or anything. This is just a big part of it is the race. So, you know, it all comes down to, you know, let's enforce when freedoms are taken away, all right, and people's ability to participate in things are taken away. And, you know, as far as the other stuff, I just think that ideology will grow itself out of society as people are more free to do things and have more access and opportunity to do things.
But we have had more, and we have had more opportunity to do things. I mean, we have absolutely every opportunity in the world to do anything we want, but it's not happening equally no matter what we say about it. And can I just for a second say something about Kyle and the fact that this is just part of the system and what's the propaganda that's been pushed. This wasn't about him defending himself. He, prior to him getting there, this is what didn't have anything to do with it, but it was about his intention, what his views were, what he actually had on social media, what he represented. His intention was to go there and do something that was not good. But what happened, what he didn't intend on, was some white people like me hitting his ass up and being like, what you're not going to do today, sir, and hold him accountable. It ended horribly. It ended horribly, of course, but this is about the mindset that I talk about, because this isn't about, media made it about him showing up and being and defending himself. And they very loosely and very rarely spoke about what his actual intentions were and what his mindset was on the way to those group of Black folks that were protesting in the street.
The guy that initiated it was released from a mental asylum, had really no idea what was going on that day, okay, and was a 9-time child rapist. Chasing a minor, by the way, which Rittenhouse didn't know that. But what I'm saying is it wasn't because they were sitting there defending, they thought Kyle Rittenhouse was a threat to the Black Lives Matter movement, so they were there trying to chase him. No, the guy that started had no idea any of that was really going down like that.
But I'm not talking about the act of what happened when he got there. I'm not talking about the nasty motherfuckers and what their history was and what they did or any of that. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the mindset that Kyle Rittenhouse had before he showed up there.
Talking about intent.
That's the problem. The media and what they were, what they did not share with us, and how they just briefly pushed it out there, and then how they briefly pulled that all back and made it about the incident himself. I'm not speaking one way or the other on it. I'm just saying that his intention before he ever got there was not to come there to support Black folks. That's not why he was there.
So when Maxine Waters is inciting the violence, saying that we're going to burn shit down, and it's inciting that intent with a lot of the protests,
that was messed up. That was when she said that, I was like,
hold on. Let me say this real quick, and let me just piss y'all all off so we can get off this show, right? Okay, let me just piss everybody off on here, Black and white or otherwise, okay?
Kimberly, before you piss somebody off, Michael, I'm sorry. Hold on.
Y'all watch me, y'all know.
Hold on. Before you piss everybody off, Michael, I need your technology, because Marcy and Max can't, for whatever reason, they're not able to get on, and I don't know if it's because of their phones or if it's.
Are they trying to join the conversation?
Yes.
Take the link. Copy the link. All right. Are they on YouTube?
Yes.
So copy the link that you sent me, like on Twitter or whatever would allow them access, and then in the comment section on YouTube, put it in there.
That is what I did.
And then when they're hitting it, what is it telling them?
They're saying that they're not able to get on.
Do they have the Melon app on their phone?
Well, they shouldn't have to have the app. All you do is just click and it'll come on. You don't need that.
Yeah, I don't have it.
And
I
it's
guess
Yeah,
not
we don't.
allowing it.
Yeah.
What kind of phone do they have?
Guys, do you have an iPhone or an Android? Because that
might be the
usually,
phone.
Yeah,
because
it may be the
could,
phone.
it could be. So,
Yeah, because that's
but
not necessarily your technology. It could be something with their
phone. Okay.
their permissions on the phone that's not allowing them that. Yeah, because I think
Okay.
Savage got on here pretty easy.
And Miss Savage, are you using your phone or are you using your computer?
I'm using my computer.
Oh,
Okay.
never
All
mind. I
right.
thought, yeah.
All
Well, it's
right.
still
Yeah, I
So,
don't use my phone. I don't.
so Kimberly, go on. Come on. Come on, girl. Come on. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Now you can piss us all off. And I'm
For
sorry.
my seeds, for my seeds, I'll burn this whole fucking state down, and I don't give a damn. And that's all I'm gonna say about it. I'm not even gonna elaborate. I'm not gonna say anything else. But when it comes to my seeds, I'm burning shit down. I'm burning.
Well, that doesn't piss me off. I'm not against that at
Whatever
all.
the hell
Me neither.
I'm burning.
Yeah,
shit.
I'm not saying that's bad. No, you're fine saying that. I mean, you're fine saying that.
Yeah, for
When-
my kids out tear the world down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying though is you're talking about intent, right? I'm saying that people's intent can be malicious, all right? But we seem to forgive some instances and not others. Because if you're going off intent, then no black person would have ever voted for Joe Biden, right? Because his intent all throughout his freaking political life has been
And
very
Putin.
negative towards. Yeah.
Nobody would have voted for Camille either. She's been putting black men in jail for
Yeah,
fucking.
but
Oh,
that,
100%.
and I voted for both because I was
Here.
going through the lesser and
And
I'll
because I was going through the lesser of two evils, and it's my vote. And if you don't like it, that's tough. Just like your vote is your vote, and God bless you, and God bless me.
I was just going to add, if it was up to that, black people just wouldn't vote because all of them have said things about black people.
So
I think it's black
I
people's
said,
fault.
and I
It's
put
black
this
people's
on.
fault that he's in office.
Yeah.
Well,
Because black people
this
believe
on-
anything. If black people believe anything anybody says.
Savage. That is not a fair. That is not a fair statement, because when you look at what the choices that we have had, what I say that we need to do is we need to start our own political party, take our money out of society, and put it where we need to put it. And
I agree with you on that
then everyone else will see, well, damn, we need
Black
that money.
liberation.
We need
I-
whatever. So
that
the
proves my
power-
point.
The biggest power that we have is here. Ching, 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 ching.
Right.
It is the biggest
And we're the number
power
one
that
spender.
we have.
We're the number one spender.
So
And what policies was he giving for us that we needed to vote for him for?
it was, again, for me, it was better than the alternative.
Let me ask.
So why not vote at all?
Oh, because for me, and I have said,
But what has it done
I
for
am
you?
always going to vote.
For what?
I am
For what?
always going to vote.
What is your point to always vote? Just to vote?
Because the people who came before me were shit on, and they had to do the jelly bean thing. And when women were given the right to vote in 1919, it didn't include my grandmother.
Well,
It
so
didn't include,
you said that we need to take our money out, right, and build our own.
Mhm.
That's us not voting. That's
is
how
us-
we take our money out.
Okay, all right.
We can't just
Oh,
go
well,
and
no,
vote.
because
We can't just vote because that's what I'm saying. Black people just did it. That's why he's in office. Black people did it. We're the problem.
Our own party. We also need to
Right.
start our
We're
own party.
the when it comes to Biden, we were the problem. We go,
Okay,
oh,
all right,
you're not
okay.
black. You're not. That's the first
Okay,
red
but
flag in the world.
Savage,
You're not black unless you vote for me. I'm not voting for you because you said that shit. You out your
You
bird.
know what? You know what, Savage? Do I think Biden's doing a good job? No. In fact, I text somebody last night where I said, seriously, I mean, Biden has done nothing. Whatever. But at the same time, when I look at the alternative,
Imagine
when
every black
I-
person
when-
not
and-
voting. What do you think will happen?
if every black person did not vote, we would have laws. Conservatives would win.
They would have to sit down and ask us what we were.
Well, no, because you're going to still have, because if most black people vote blue, then you're going to have.
If we don't vote, because there's nothing for us to vote for, they're going to have to ask us what we want. And then that's when we make our rules and policy.
Savage.
Okay. Wait, are you saying that Democrats would ask us?
It don't matter.
Or you're
Anyone that
saying
wants to
are you
vote,
saying
anyone
the masses.
It don't matter. When we want something, you have instead of going around marching, that's bullshit.
See,
We
I
need
think
to take our money away from them so they can sit there and ask us, what do we want? They
Now,
don't
Sav-
ask what we want. They tell us.
Savage.
You're not black.
Savage.
Mean?
Now, I agree with what you're trying to achieve, but I think that if you didn't vote, it wouldn't have that outcome. Why? Because why didn't Hillary Clinton ever come to Tennessee and campaign? Because she knew she wasn't going to win the state, right? And so our politicians, if they knew black people weren't going to vote, well, they just wouldn't fucking come to you and ask, period, because there's no reason, there's no incentive.
Exactly.
So-
I mean, it's
so-
like the other. I mean, it's like
But
all
we
you're
tried.
doing, because like this. When if people don't vote, then that means it's the votes are not going to that person. So
Mhm.
if all of us don't vote and most black people vote blue, then what makes sense is the person who's going to win is the one that is red. Do you think they're
So-
going to give a shit and
hold on.
ask us
I
what
just got
we
some-
want? No.
Well, I
You
just
think
got
there
some-
ain't
I
no
just got
black
some-
reds though? Y'all
Hold on, I
think
just
there's
got some
black
information.
but there are more blue blacks than red blacks. I'm sorry, that's the only way I can say it.
There was
horrible,
I
but-
don't know the name right now. I'm getting it right now, but there was the Mexican Spanish community that did that. They didn't go to work. They didn't do nothing that they asked them to do. They stuck together. They held it down, and what they had to do changed everything around just to get their vote.
But it wasn't.
And then they
okay.
got a Spanish person in the seat where they needed to be.
I understand theory.
This
In
is why
theory,
you
I
fighting
think
that is the
work to
reason
do.
why
I think
we're
that it
always
will
going to
work.
lose.
No.
But when has it ever look? See, I'm with Jay on this. I don't vote, and I'm going to tell you why. Because we, the fucking people, ain't the fucking people anymore. All right, we not. That's just the bottom line. We ain't the people. I say it all the time. We're the fucking people. They're supposed to be supporting us. I'm gonna be honest. I voted for Barack Obama. It was the first, last, and only time that I voted, and I voted for him because he was black, so that my children could see the capacity and the opportunity that they could have moving forward to possibly change things. But Barack Obama, I don't care whose name you throw into the mix, what color they were, or nationality. They are not for we the people. It does not matter how we vote. It is us, we the people, that have to change at this level that we are at before anything is going to matter. My mama calls me damn near monthly to get on my ass about voting. And I tell her the same thing every time. I am not voting for that damn bird because it is flying higher than I can reach it, and it is shitting all over me and all over my family
And that
and
is
all
where-
over my friends
and that is
and
where-
everybody in the black community that I know that I fight for. So fuck that bird.
And that is where, instead of the non-voting and stuff, the one thing that I agree with Ba on, and he's not even in this country, is everybody should just not pay taxes. I mean,
It's not voting, it's
I
just
think
taxes.
that would be a
Jay says,
better.
what?
I mean, I think that would be a better tactic than the
Certain
non-voting
taxes.
thing.
Certain
You know.
taxes.
No,
Certain
all
taxes is
taxes.
important.
You
No.
know,
Mass
you know,
non-compliance.
just
Here's
don't-
why-
What is
No,
the
'cause-
consequences of not paying taxes?
Well,
A
they
huge
could- they-
freaking problem.
That's
okay,
why I
but,
was like,
right. Wait, are you talking about? I'm not talking. First of all, they can't put everybody in jail, but
No,
They'll
that's not the
try.
consequence. The
but
consequence
the
is
consequences of doing it is the country would start to break down.
Yeah, it's a good. I thought you were
within one day.
burning-
Within one day, the country would go to shit because what do you pay taxes on? What do you pay
Wait.
taxes on?
Right, right.
so what's the difference in not voting?
I know, and that's what you were saying earlier. Burn the shit down.
No.
No,
Here's
I
the thing.
said that.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
No.
Burn the shit down.
Yeah,
Restart.
it's one thing-
Solid. Your
Burn it
favorite
all
quote.
down.
I think Jesus needs to come back and just
It's
restart. So why is that a problem?
because it's one thing to not to protest
I didn't
income
say
taxation.
burn the shit down. What are you,
No.
I'm lost.
Kimberly did. Okay, it's one
Okay.
thing to protest income taxes, right? And not pay income taxes. Fine, because you can not have your check withheld, and at the end of the year when you go and file, don't pay it, right? And they can't come and enforce all of us. You're right. But you also, if you're going to do all taxes, you have consumption and property taxes in there, okay? So the consumption tax and the gas tax, by the way, which is nothing more than a user fee, and is the only form of taxation I really can justify supporting. That means you have to stop buying all products and stop participating in everything in the economy as a whole United States, all right? Which means no one goes to work, no one does anything. The damage to that, okay, alone would far outweigh anything we could ever justify doing it for. And so, so it's some forms of taxation. Income tax to me, not right. Why? Because it's involuntarily coercing, because if you don't pay it, they're going to take your ass to jail by force. But they are limiting someone's ability to participate in the free market society.
But they cannot put if everyone did it as a whole, they could not put everyone in jail. Hence,
they wouldn't have to. We would be
hence my economic black boycott. Instead of all black people not voting, if we just stop spending money for a week, the way that society
exactly.
I told you before that
isn't not voting safer.
Yeah, it is way safer because, like I said, Lisa, before, with in theory, you're on point, but actually, when you dig a little bit deeper into that theory, you would crush the black community because you have black people tied to the white businesses, white-owned businesses, and in the market, you would destroy it. You would destroy it.
Yes. But you would, but on the way down, you're also destroying. You're also making that point, showing that you need black dollars. You need black dollars. And what gets me with this whole thing is the fact that black people, we had this. We had our Black Wall Streets and we were doing fine.
How will there be black dollars if there's nothing generating black dollars back to the black community, when you're boycotting it?
Once again, this is a lesson learned. This is a lesson learned, guys. So we had to go through all of this.
Way easier.
You're going down a whole rabbit hole of fuckery when you start.
I'm sorry. I am voting. So whatever.
What are you voting for?
No. But you know what? Let her vote. But if she votes at the same time that she is pulling every fucking dime she has out of the white, Asian, Jewish communities and putting it in your own community as a black community, then you are making movements. Then you are affecting change. But you have to do that, not half-assed either. Not half-assed. I mean,
would you shop at Lowe's? Would you shop at Lowe's then if you were to do that boycott?
That would be hard because Lowe's is run by
a black person, the CEO,
a black person. But at the same time, I have just gotten to the point, seriously, where I have become this person now. Whatever. So I'm like, I would just hunker down in my house with all of my stuff, whatever.
And you can do whatever you want. But when if you were like, no, we are boycotting as a black community. All right, spending our money, and even if you did it, we're only going to spend it with each other. You would wreck the black community while doing that, and you would wreck it.
And I understand that, but you know what? Back during civil rights, when they didn't ride buses, when they didn't shop at stores, it hurt them too. So my thing is,
riding public transportation hurt the government. Okay.
No, but it also hurt people who had to walk 4 or 5 miles to get to work, whatever.
It hurt the people that were boycotting, but not the way it's hurting the government, though.
Again,
yeah,
I have been talking to people, and if any of these people listen to this, because I know y'all go back and listen to these podcasts, y'all know who you are. I reached out to people. This may happen. If you choose to join in, you join in. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It has the potential to reach internationally. And again, it's just like, if you don't want to vote, don't vote. I'm going to vote. I'm going to do whatever I can to make a difference and to show society that we have economic power, and you need that power, you need our money to function, not just here in America, but overseas. And again, Bar, you asked, what is it that I want? I'm just speaking for myself. I just want respect. Can you just respect?
Yeah. And can we hear from Savage? You kind of joined late there and kind of cottoned on to what we were saying there. If you've been listening to the whole show, is there anything you'd like to say on anything that was previously said, or
And,
your own opinions? Because it's good to
and
see a new face.
Kimberly,
I just
that's
joined
you.
when
I see her.
joined when they were saying man, I'm so on to this vote like that vote.
Yeah, no, okay.
It gotta be mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Lisa, I want to ask you though, because you said you that you haven't liked what Biden's done, but you voted him because it was the lesser of two evils, right? I mean, and you were going to vote no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, was it? What is
Well,
more?
that's a whole new topic, Michael.
Well, no. But this is important into
stop.
this. This is important into this topic, okay? And I'll show you why here in a second. But would you say that it's more beneficial if a president who is crazy as he may have done, all right, actually quantifiably, all right, made provided a far freer and accessible economy for the black population? Wouldn't you say that that was the lesser of two evils compared to this guy? And hold on, I'm going to say this too, because the examples I'm about to give you is comparing it to the previous president before Trump, right? Obama. If Trump provided more opportunity and economic freedom and accessibility than Obama did, all right, and Biden was a part of the Obama administration, would you not say that Trump, on paper so far, has already proven to be the lesser of two evils, even though he may not like black people? The opportunities and the benefits that have been given to black people as a result of whatever he's done have increased the value in the black community. Would you not say that's the lesser of two evils?
I would say yes, but however, you also said something that was a major factor for me. He doesn't like black people.
Neither does Joe.
Hold on. I feel that Trump, and I know Max and Marcy, I'm sorry, but I got to say this. I feel that Trump wanted and still wants to be president for life. I see that with some of his policies. Yeah, you did that. Yeah, okay.
Biden doesn't want to have control for life. 40-something years in office.
You did that. Whatever. Okay, but I can say the same thing about the
McConnell, all of them. Yeah, huge problem.
All of them. But you asked me about. We're talking about president.
Yeah,
so
and I say
someone who I know knowingly does not like me, okay, just because of the color of my skin, he does not like black people. I foresaw in my mind that, okay, yeah, you're doing this, and then all of a sudden he's in office again. Slowly but surely, those rights are going to, y'all not going to be able to go here. You have to show your freedom papers to go here. And I say that because these are things that have affected me. I mean, this is a man who is still trying to get to execute the Central Park 5, even though they have been, proven, many times that they are, that they are not.
So Biden, on paper, on video, and on recording, okay, has provided the evidence for himself that he is far more hating of the black community over the last however many years than Trump was. But you voted for him over Trump.
I'm not disputing what you said, because I think between the two of them, I think Trump is evil. I think he is an evil man.
So you're doing that off of your feelings.
His policies. I don't care if you're out here feeding the poor.
This is what is keeping black people down.
That's a fundamental problem.
Right. This is what's keeping the black people down. It's feelings. Fuck your feelings. This is what keeping us in a box.
Okay, but
if there's a guy that wants to give you $1 million, but I don't like black people, here, take this $1 million. I don't need this $1 million because you don't like black people. Fuck that. I need this $1 million.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to save my life with this $1 million. I don't care how you feel about me.
Savage,
I really don't care.
Savage,
No one's gonna
turned
like you. The
down-
world doesn't even like us.
Savage,
But we have to go by
You're
what
right,
we
you're
need
right,
to
you're right.
survive.
The world, you're
right?
The world,
Right.
You're right.
Are
The
you going to
world
change that?
does
No.
not
You're going
like
to
it.
you're going to
You're
take from
right.
the world what you need to survive.
You-
And his policies was it was there for us to survive. But just because he was like, oh, black people, Spanish people, this and that, whatever, nobody wanted to vote or do or follow him because of the way they feel. And that's what's keeping people down now, because feelings all the time. Fuck your feelings. What is beneficial to us?
Yeah,
And I'm not denying what you are saying, but I'm saying for me, and you cannot tell me how I'm supposed to be.
I can't tell you nothing.
I am saying that for me, for my choice.
Mhm.
My
Yeah.
choice was I was not going to vote for a man that I know does not like me just because of the color of my skin and someone who I think is evil. Do I think Biden is any better? No. But if I had to go eeny, meeny, miny, mo, then it's like Biden's going to be up here. Now, would I vote for Biden again? No. And from what I see
Why
of the
not?
crop of because I think that I hope there's someone out there better, but I also hope that there's somebody out there better than.
What if there's not? If Biden is with the statement you felt about him,
I-
you would vote for Biden again?
And the reality
It's-
is too, the voting
Just the vote?
doesn't have anything to do with the economic side of it. Those are two totally different, separate things. So you voting or us voting or not voting does not change the economics. And because we're talking about white fragility in the Black community, the only thing to do, I'm not saying if you want to vote, vote, go vote. But at the same exact time, pull your money, pull it. And Jay, I'll say this. I will say this about this. So I am not a Trump supporter. I don't have, if you're on my page and you support him, you are deleted. That's just me. That's how I personally feel about it, because I think that no matter what his policies that he put in place and what it looked like he did, he still promoted a lot of hate in this country.
Can I
And
give
that
numbers?
I'm not for-
Can I give some numbers that you haven't seen before, unless you've watched my
that I'm
TikToks?
not
But
for.
I want to give you numbers. This is from the Census Bureau. Okay, this is information that we people have filled out ourselves personally on the census, right? So the data is not made up; it's collected, and you can go and you can get up the spreadsheets and start doing the math on Excel. And I looked at an 8-year Obama administration compared to only a 4-year Trump administration. Now, Obama got in, and he was elected in 2008, got in January 2009, right? At the literal bottom of an economy that had nowhere to go but up. So in those 8 years, this is for the Black population, had a nominal wage growth of 1.67% annually. Annually. And a real wage growth adjusted for inflation of 0.34% in 8 years. All right. In only 4 years under Trump, the Black population had an average nominal wage growth of 2.48% and an adjusted real wage growth of 0.58%. Almost double that of what Obama did in half of the time. In 4 years, Trump grew the Black middle and upper class by 3.4% compared to Obama's 1.4%. Again, starting at the bottom that this country has been since the Great Depression, of an economy that could only go up, and Trump inherited an economy that did very well under Trump, but was still way up, right? It could have gone either way. And so even with COVID and the recession during COVID, he still increased the Black middle and upper class by 3.4%. That means he lifted people out of the bottom lower class twice as much in half the time out in the Black community than Obama did in 8 years. Hold on. And after the TCJA, the Trump tax cuts, okay, in 2018, Black wages increased 12.39%, or adjusted for inflation, 10.58% on average, okay? Obama never had anything even near that. Now, the last thing, though, I wanted to point out was right now, because they voted for a president that was connected to the Obama administration, and because they deemed that Trump was the lesser of two evils based off of some of his rhetoric, without any regard to Biden's past rhetoric, and not paying attention to the policies and the actual benefit that Trump has offered the black community, okay, we are now experiencing around 9% inflation, okay, so as a whole population, this is white, black, everything.
You cannot blame inflation on him. Biden is not responsible for all of the inflation. You had a country that was basically shut down, or entire globe that was shut down for 2 years, and then everybody all of a sudden is wants everything.
I can blame the Democratic Party, but I can also do this too, because here's the thing: if you talk about intent, like intent was brought up with the Rittenhouse thing, all right, you're right. There was 2 stimulus packages passed under Trump that were going to lead to inflation. However, the Democrats, because this is wide open, this was a problem I had with the Democrats during this time, was in these stimulus packages, wanted to put, half of the money towards things that had nothing to do with a COVID stimulus at all, like $28 million to gender studies in Pakistan or these other wasteful programs. Now, that adds up. And so all of that goes into the money supply that has been printed that is the cause of inflation that was not needed. So inflation could have been a lot lower than what it's at. Here's the other thing. When Biden got in, his spending that whether he had it passed or not, showed absolutely no knowledge or even rational thought behind how the economy even works. He promoted a potential $5 trillion total cost spending bill in the form of a Build Back Better plan on top of it, all the inflation problems. He passed over a $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill, okay, on top of all this. He tried to extend the child tax credit that he expanded on and keep that going, which led to inflation. He did pass another stimulus package that we actually did not need on top of the 2 we already had. That was the largest one out of all of them that led to this, okay? Here's the reason for inflation. This is the M1 money supply of our economy. All right, starting in mid 2020
you
through
have
21.
just been waiting to show that.
Well, no, this is all information I've put together through other shows, right? And this all adds up. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to pick the lesser of 2 evils, all right, why wouldn't you pick the man that is going to, or has already, if you go and analyze it, okay, offered more economic freedom, all right, in trade-off to the bad things that he says for the black community? Because I've already established that allowing people the ability to go out and be a free consumer and a free participant in the marketplace is a major part of freedom in society. And he did more than any other president in my lifetime to grow that and allow more economic freedom for the black community.
Michael, I'm not disagreeing.
Mic drop. Mic drop. Boom.
I'm not disagreeing with what you said, and I don't think that it was a mic drop or anything. What you just said, I mean, I'm not disagreeing, but at the same time, I'm also going to look at the person who who will end up stabbing me in my freaking back. That you're shaking my hand. Here's some money. Here.
That's the Democratic Party that you've been voting for.
Wait, hold on. Here's the money. Now we're gonna start making policies. Get back to that cotton field. That is how I see Trump. I think that Trump, and I don't mean that I think that he's evil, like, oh, he's a bad man. I think Trump is evil.
The Antichrist.
I think he is evil.
And I think you should vote for whoever you want to vote for.
And say the Antichrist, whatever, Bob, whatever. But I am just saying that for me. So I gave my reasons for voting. If people don't like it or don't accept it, I don't care.
But and that's fine. You're right.
The bottom line is I don't have to explain anything.
You don't have. You're right.
Anybody.
You don't have to justify why you vote and if you vote.
I'm not trying to change anybody's mind, whatever. This is me and who I am. And if people don't like it,
and that's awesome, right? That's an awesome part of our society here in the United States. Okay, and because it is because she's not being prosecuted for anyone that she wants to vote for. Go vote for whoever you want. If you don't want to vote, then don't vote.
And one thing I am not is I am not a fraud, and I am not a fake. I do not sit up here and say, "Oh yeah," and whatever. I tell you exactly what I think.
No, but
so
the part I was getting at when Michael says that's an awesome thing is it an awesome thing that black people can't do, or no, I'll change that. Certain people can't do their own research. Instead, they'll listen to the media tell them that Trump bad man, orange man bad, orange man bad, instead of doing the research and finding out that if they voted, if they voted for Trump for a second term, Trump was doing good things for black people, better than it, like all that things that Michael has just recited very well, factually stuff. Just goes out the window because he says some nasty things.
No.
Let me say this. But Bob,
let
me say this. Hold on.
For you, but how are you going to tell me?
Because he's benefiting black people in their pockets.
How are you still supposed to feel how I think about someone?
No.
You do you.
So, Blue,
that's the part I'm not arguing with.
Take a breath, and let me say this, because we're talking about accountability, right? So let me be very clear. Black folks dug themselves out. Trump didn't do shit. Obama didn't do shit. Biden ain't doing shit. What happened was they realized that, oh my fucking God, we're all about to damn die, and we gonna have to do something. I use this as a very small example. I have a friend who has accounting masters. He does all kinds of accounting stuff. But during COVID, he went out with his own money, not other people's money, and not any tax cuts or anything. And I'm not negating that what you're saying, Michael, is not true by any means. But if you're gonna hold somebody accountable for the for uplifting a community, then we need to hold black people accountable for that. They did that. Like I post hashtag, I did that. They did that. Nothing changed under any administration when it came to black people.
That's wrong, though.
Community as an average black community.
So, that's wrong, right? That statement was wrong because you're right. Did Trump do any of that work, that hard labor? Hell no. You're right. The black community did. They earned that money. You know what Trump did? His policy went in place and took fucking less of it and gave it to the government, the corrupt government, and let them keep it in their own fucking pocket. That's what Trump did. And that is what the policy that he put in place that benefited the black community. Because them taking less, okay, I just said, look, wage growth, okay, and retained earnings, by the way, tax savings. I didn't even do that number. But as far as wage growth, right after the TCJA, 10.58% when accounted for inflation. That's more higher. That's crazy to have 10% pay increase for on average across any community. And so he allowed them to participate and take that hard-earned money, okay, and have more freedom with that money, have more money that they can go and pursue opportunities, whatever it may be. Go buy a pair of Jordans, go start a business. Who cares? It's their money. And he gave them the more freedom to do so. It's not so much, I'm 100% against using other people's money to subsidize anything for anyone else. All right. I am all 100% for letting us retain our own hard-earned money and spending it how we see freely. That is what I'm saying.
Where did all that money go that was donated to the former guy? Where did all that money go?
Donated to who? To Trump?
Yes.
In the form of what? Campaign donations?
Yeah.
Okay. So we want to talk about the campaign donation.
I mean, because everybody, I don't care whose campaign you're donating to, whether you're donating to Hillary, Obama, Bush, Clinton, whomever.
Lisa, did you vote for Pelosi? Oh, you wouldn't have voted for Pelosi because it's not your district, right?
Pelosi is no, she's
north of you.
She's
okay.
not.
Would you have supported her?
Would I have?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you see my video I put up on TikTok?
No.
You didn't?
No.
All right. So Pelosi, per her financial disclosures, all right, has an investment called the Mosher Partnership LLC. All right. Mm-hmm. After substantial amount of research, I found that it was actually committed to the Barton Mosher Ranch, which owned a bunch of land south of Highway 50, on the south side of Highway 50, in Rancho Cordova, California, outside Sacramento. And part of that land that was a part of the original ranch, guess who has a headquarters on that land? It was GenCorp. So GenCorp has a real estate company called Easton Development Company which has a direct partnership with Mosher, all right, and the Pelosi's, therefore, who sold another piece of property a mile down the road called Russell Ranch, which is a housing development. They sold that to Pelosi, who has $5 to $25 million invested in that. Pelosi, her husband, by the way, has an indirect partnership, okay, with Aerojet Rocketdyne, which is what GenCorp is right now. Aerojet Rocketdyne is the group that builds all of the internal important missile components to all of the weapon systems we are sending to Ukraine right now. She has made reported, by the way, on her own disclosure, $1 to $5 million so far from that Mosher partnership agreement this year.
Okay, so
what I'm saying is that consistently throughout time, okay, you brought the campaign donations. What about that? What about the people that are in office right now that are taking $40 million and sending it over in lethal aid to Ukraine, a war that they are financially benefiting from right now? So I don't see the campaign donations.
And how many times have I said that money going to the Ukraine is a waste of, at least from my tax dollars, whatever. And yes, I understand with Pelosi, with all of them, what they are investing in. Hell, look at Cheney. How much did Dick Cheney make?
Oh yeah, you're right, 100%.
What
I'm saying, though, it goes both ways, 100%. What I'm saying,
and this is,
I guess what I wanted to get at with though, because you talked about Trump, right? Because a lot of your reasoning for Trump is, well, what's the potential he could put policy in that may hurt me? But he hasn't. He's talked a lot of shit, and he said things you don't like, and you voted for him because of what could happen. However, if we look back at what has happened, if we look back at policy that has crushed the black community economically and socially, well, let's look at the welfare policy put in the 60s, all right, by the Democrats, that has crushed black marriage rates.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what I'm saying, is those are policies that are proven.
But it's interesting because the majority of people who are on welfare, they're not black.
As a number, but as a percentage and per capita,
they are white.
Hold on. The white people are the majority. We're 70% of the population, though. So as a number, that would be normal. But the black people proportionally are on a far higher amount of welfare at higher rates than anyone else.
I am not. No,
because
go
of systemic racism and narratives, again,
and it has kept them down. It has disincentivized marriage in the black community. This is, by the way,
things going on.
This is where
we're not the people, and why should we have to vote for the lesser of the two evils?
No.
What the fuck do we get to vote for somebody?
Because the lesser of the two evils that you're voting for is the one that is actually the greater of the two evils, because they're the ones that have put the policies in place and have proved to you that they have concrete evidence that they are the ones that have hurt you.
Michael, but once again, when it comes down to individuals voting, I am an individual. You can shake your head and laugh and nod, whatever. I'm still going to vote.
And I think that's great.
In the end, because I'm not going to change my morals, my integrity, whatever, for any damn body.
You're right.
I'm not looking for anybody to change my mind. I'm not looking to debate with anybody, whatever. I am just telling you, this is what I did. If you don't like it, you don't like it. If you disagree, you disagree. But for me, whomever I feel, I mean, even in 2008, my whole vote was McCain. Then Sarah Palin came in. And I was like, oh, hell no.
Wait, you were going to vote against Obama in Obama's first time running for office?
Okay, why? Okay, first of all, I just want to ask, why would you think that I was voting for Obama? Because I think it's insulting for people to assume that I was going to vote. Not saying that you were, but I think it's insulting for people to assume that
because you're a Democrat?
Oh, okay, because what I get from a lot of white people is because he was black. No,
I did.
I did.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say because Kimberly said she did it because she was black.
I did not think that Obama was ready.
So that shows that you pay attention to policy.
Was Biden ready?
I'm sorry. Was what?
Was Biden ready?
I felt that he was.
He has dementia. He don't even know what he's doing.
You
He
know
was
what?
overcooked, I think.
I am going to say something, and I'm going to say it because this affects me. I stutter all the time.
Me too.
And a lot of things that people were saying about Biden before he took office was they were saying, oh, well, he gets up there and you can tell, and he starts to move to, like he is lost, whatever. He's not fucking lost. I see what he's doing. He's doing what I do. I search for words that I can say.
But you finish every sentence.
I finish my sentence, but it's hard.
I know. And it's hard for me sometimes. You listen to me talk. I twitch. I stutter.
Yeah,
but we finished our sentences and we have a coherent thought. He doesn't.
Okay.
I be fucking up words all the time.
But I am just saying that when people would say that, and I'm watching him because I watch other people who stutter. I am part of a group, whatever. But I'm just saying that, whether some people think that he's lost in thought. Some of those times he's looking for that word because I'm constantly looking for the word that I can say, and I end up saying a word that doesn't match what I want because I can't get the other word out.
But here's the thing: have you been doing that your whole life?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the thing. You've been consistent, which shows me like, okay, her problem may be just with speech, or she's thinking too fast, and like I do, right? And I'm trying to talk and keep up. That's consistent. Nothing has changed in my mental capacity. Go listen to Biden when he was vice president, then go listen to Biden when he was a senator, and then go listen to Biden now. That man was a sharp dude as far as coming back and speaking in front of people before. He may have stuttered a little bit, fine, but he was very coherent, extremely coherent. Go look at him there's a late night show. I think when he was vice president,
he was coherent.
Yeah, and so when you there's a late night show that Biden was talking about how he's addressing how he lied about something, or where his dad worked or something. But the way he was coming back at it, it was like, okay, he's savvy. He may have lied, he may be a liar, maybe a piece of shit, but he was savvy at how he spoke. If he was in that same position now, they don't even let him answer questions because he can't do that. So there's a substantial decline. That's not a consistent. He's been stuttering forever and has never been able to talk. No, he's always been able to. He just can't do it now.
Well, put it like this. I doubt very seriously, even though he has to say he is, just because, I doubt very seriously if Biden runs again and across the entire political spectrum, whether it be blue, black, independent, green, whatever, my opinion, the list of candidates that we have for 2024, or hell, even in 2022, is dismal. It is dismal.
I think the Republican Party has a strong candidate coming up.
Well, I know who you think.
Actually, I know two that could be strong.
And don't say that CO. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. Mm-mm.
I already know who the next president's going to be, so I won't spoil it.
Okay, so Max, thank you so much. You have just been supporting me in this podcast. But I know that I have been talking against your person. But thank you for supporting me, whatever. But guys, this has gone on a hell of a lot longer
and it was brilliant
than we have ever done. And so, if anybody takes the time to watch it, because damn, this one I knew was going to be hot, but
you should break it up.
We went here, there. Yeah, that is what we're going to have to do. But guys, Savage, I would love for you to come back, Kim.
Yeah. Oh, I just subscribed, definitely.
And I would love for y'all to come back. And Michael, you're like our commentator because Michael's been on practically every show. But
it's been a little while, but yeah.
And for everybody that's stuck with us in the chat, Max and Marcy and stuff, thank you for 3 hours. I did not expect for this thing to go on for this long, but we have some other shows coming up, and one show that I'm looking forward to doing. Bob, don't say anything unless you say the right thing, because we are recording. I had to bend. Well, I'm not going to say that. We're doing a show with Caps.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
We're doing a show with Caps because when you guys, if you all know who Caps is, he's on Podbean a lot. But I'm looking to do a fun show. We need to break it up sometimes. We cannot have all this seriousness going on. I want to do a fun show. So that's going to be my fun show. What the topic is, I don't know. But Savage, I would love for you to come back because I know you've been shaking your head at me and you're like, well, who the hell is solid and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? It is all good. And for everyone out there, even though, it gets tense and we go back and forth and I'm hollering or whatever, at the end of the day, I love you guys.
You must have it.
And he's my producer for my In Love with Kimberly Michael on YouTube on Tuesday nights. And so he's actually been on the show when you've been on Podbean as well, too. So he's familiar with you. He knows that you're going to start asking questions and getting rowdy. We know that.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
Yeah, but I will say this, and I am going to say this. I may get rowdy. I may say things, but I don't talk about my yoni.
And by the way, Savage, Solid and I did a show about maybe a month ago now, and it's titled "Bah, Why Don't You Vote?" So if you want to check that out, you'll get more into that.
I just subscribed to your channel too.
Yeah.
So okay, checking out all of you guys stuff.
And Michael also, I'm looking for this thing on Pelosi. You have two? Are you on RC Talk 24 now?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's on.
I tagged Bo in it. I thought maybe you guys use the same account, so we
do. So
I tagged him in it, and he liked it. But if you go there, it's like not the last video I did, or it's not the last one. Yeah.
Oh no. Okay. Never mind. Here it is. Share this. Nancy Pelosi expose.
Go ahead. You watch that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
it went viral.
I do watch it. Another thing, I just want to throw out one thing to buy again. As much as you talk about media, whether you on your phone or on your computer searching for videos, that's still the media, brother. So
yeah.
That is still the media. So you may tell people to turn off their TV, but if you got your phone in your computer, it's the same thing.
Yeah, but then we are completely deliberate in what we click on and choose to actually put into our brain as well too.
Yes, true. But if you're looking for stuff to promote a particular narrative, you're going through all these videos to go, aha, this is the one. So I'm just saying.
No, I think
the problem is
that's like the conspiratorial thing, though. When you're awake to this stuff, you know what you're indulging in. Like how you said, you ever turn it off? I can watch something and see the bullshit, whereas most people who are asleep, if that's the phrase.
You can't even go and watch a Batman movie and just.
That's what I'm saying.
I can't either.
Whatever. That's what I'm saying.
But let me talk about Avatar: The Blue People right quick, because baby, I could do a whole show on that shit.
Yeah. Awesome. Right, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys so much. And again, thank you for spending your Saturday with us talking about some of everything, because we went all over the damn board. So
great.
Oh, Savage, could you send us an email, friendly differences
at gmail.com.
At Gmail, so we will have your info, so we can reach out to you to do a show. And Kimberly, we definitely coming back to you, girl. So
baby, nothing to play with. Not nothing to play with.
All right, guys. Thank you for everyone who is listening on YouTube. Bye.
Bye.